That's it. Never again.
Oh, when I was down in Bundoran and I went on one of the rides and it was swinging me round and round and round. And normally I don't mind it.
Yeah.
But I said, and I actually addressed him directly, the big guy. And I said, if I get off this, I'm never going to do it again.
Yeah.
And I never did.
It must be an age thing, Greg, because do you know
This is about 10 or 15 years ago.
No, but listen, I was down in Ramelton probably 2 or 3 years ago, and the amusements, and I had my relations down and had wheelie and stuff, and there was a couple of ones that kind of went over the quay and stuff, but I love all that type of stuff. But
it's the smaller ones that spin you really, really quickly, and you start wondering about the engineering, and I'm sure there's absolutely no doubt everything's safe.
But you always
I'm
wonder.
just thinking, like I'm there, my brain's coming out my left ear, and I'm wondering, did everyone tighten the nuts here? Has the cogs been oiled? What are the bearings like?
See, when you're younger, you don't think of those things. You're just up there for the crack. But as you get older, and
life comes at you quick, and then you start going, okay.
Yeah. And then you're thinking, is my heart going to take this?
It was just like, I don't want to do it. What am I doing it for? And if I get off this, I'm never doing it again.
Yeah, so I would be like, it's not very often we agree, but that I can definitely say that was it. I says, never again am I doing that.
Really steep slides, adventure parks and stuff. I'll do all of that.
Climbing stuff and that, but
it's just this spinny thing.
Maybe it's like when we get over 50, it's them, you know.
Well, I don't know. I'll tell you when I get there.
You had the big birthday.
This was about 15 years.
Well, how long?
A
wee minute here, and I just don't be. That's 15 years ago. A lot has passed. When did you have that big party that I was at, your birthday party? It wasn't last year, was it?
About 51 weeks ago.
Was
50 weeks ago, yep.
So that was the big birthday?
It was exactly...
Don't give me hours and seconds. Stop
14 minus 3.
Oh, give me that. Doo-dah. Your birthday's on the 22nd of April, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what are we going to do this time then?
Very little. It's one of those birthdays you can't even recognise because nothing...
What? 51's good, Daddy.
Right, okay.
You're stuck
It's just ruining my day.
That's not what you mean. What is your birthday? We've got to celebrate it.
Let's celebrate it then.
We're going on a roller coaster together. Hold hands. Come on, let's do. Get Caroline in the middle. We'll hug
I'll
her.
do a roller coaster, no problem.
I know you'll do
but
that.
It's not this. It's the wee swingy.
The wee swingy one.
Spinny.
I would love me and you and Caroline to go on one of them. Put Caroline in the middle. I love when somebody's going through a bit of pain.
I'm not sure she'd get clearance from the extensive medical team for that.
I see you over 51. Is she? We're not going there, right?
You can go out and talk to her now. It is 9 o'clock, time for a news update, and it's over to Donna Marie Dart.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A number of staff at a fish processing factory in Kellybegs have lost 2 days' worth of wages after 750 tonnes of blue whiting turned to mush while being weighed at the pier. Senator Manus Boyle stated that approximately 50 people were affected on Sunday, missing out on their double pay. The fish was intended for human consumption, but ultimately had to be used for fish meal instead. Senator Boyle emphasised that while the fishing community is not against monitoring, it's crucial that it's carried out correctly to prevent incidents like this from occurring.
Well, this could have been done differently if the monitor had been done in the factory. I mean, there is a procedure there for the factory monitors. There is video. There might be up to 18 video cameras zooming in on the lines and everything like that. There is ways it could have been done, and it's been done in the past on the factory monitor. But going through the machine, really, it wasn't. It was total non-runner.
The man convicted of raping and murdering a woman from Bunkrana in India has lodged an appeal against his life sentence. Daniel McLaughlin was killed in Goa, India in 2017. After many delays, Vigat Bhagat was handed down a sentence of life imprisonment in early February. However, the Irish Daily Star reports that Bhagat has now made an appeal to the Bombay High Court. The Taoiseach says the European Union is ready to negotiate with the US on tariffs as he prepares to fly to Washington. Simon Harris will engage in a series of meetings, including with the Commerce Secretary. US President Donald Trump says he's still open to negotiations with countries who he slapped the tariffs on. The Taoiseach outlines the points he'll be trying to impress on US officials.
I mean, we've been very clear as a European Union. We believe there are plenty of areas where you could actually go to 0 for 0. 0% tariffs on the EU side, 0% tariffs on the US side. That would be really good in key areas for both the EU and the US economy. So we're up for it. But we believe that actually if you want to fix global trade, if you want to have a conversation about free and fair trade, you do it by sitting around a table. You don't do it by just slapping tariffs on people.
The North's First Minister Michelle O'Neill has written to the British Prime Minister urging the UK government to grant a public inquiry into the murder of GAA official Sean Brown. The chairman of Balahi Wolf Tones was abducted and murdered by loyalist paramilitaries in 1997 in Derry. Intelligence material has linked state agents to his death. Last week, Belfast's Court of Appeal ruled the government's failure to hold an inquiry is unlawful and that it cannot stand. Looking now to the weather forecast, a dry and sunny day ahead with highs of 16 or 17 degrees. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. Back again at 10 o'clock.
Throbbing head, sore back, the aches and pains of cold and flu. No one pain is the same, but for all those everyday pains, there's a moment when you start to feel release. That moment when you start to get back to being you, and you feels amazing. Panadol Extra film-coated tablets. Powerful pain relief. Release starts here. Contains paracetamol. Always read the label, leaflet.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning. It is 3 minutes past 9, nearly 4 minutes past 9 on this Tuesday. It's the 8th of April. I hope you're all very well indeed, and you're very welcome along to another 9 till Noon Show. I'm broadcasting live with you here for the next 3 hours with the usual mix of news, views and features. And we want you involved throughout 086 60 25,000. That is how you WhatsApp and text us. So maybe you're hearing a conversation and you want to share your view. We love to hear those views as well. Or maybe there's something happening out and about that you think we should know about. Let us know. Or maybe you just want to pass on an act of kindness or something that's happened to you that's positive. We want all of your contributions. 086 60 25,000. If you want to give us a call, it's 07491 25,000. And emailers, you go to comments@highlandradio.com. And don't forget to watch the show if you want to. If you're at home or working from home or working in the home, you can watch our live stream on your smart TV or your Fire Stick, YouTube. Highland Radio Ireland. We're on Facebook and on the X platform as well. Right, obviously, if we're going to do the papers every morning, tariffs are going to be part of it now for the foreseeable, it would seem. We hope not, but anyway. What impact might it have on us? The Irish Independent suggests housing demand highly vulnerable to economic shock caused by US tariffs. Housing demand in this country is already high or is highly vulnerable to a sudden economic shock caused by the actions of Donald Trump. This is because the property market here is disproportionately reliant on high-income earners working in multinational sectors, according to the latest quarterly house price report from My Home in association with Bank of Ireland. Experts at the property portal said the threat of a trade war will influence how the housing market will perform this year. The Irish property market's disproportionate reliance on high-income earners working in multinational sectors would see it vulnerable to any sudden economic shock, the report found. However, if there is no trade war, then the housing market's record low supply levels and continued strong demand means that My Home is forecasting 5% property inflation for this year, but may prove too conservative. The author of the report, Bank of Ireland Chief Economist Conall McQuillia, said the threats come as national asking prices for residential property was up 8.1% over the year. So obviously this trade war is going to have its impacts. The majority of us aren't really impacted by movements in the stock exchange directly. You know, I mean, I suppose if you have a pension, you might be somewhat affected, but the majority of us don't hold stocks. And if you do, I suppose the only thing you can do is sit it out, because they go up and down, such is the nature of long-term investment. Are you missing out on supports to send your student to college? The Irish Times reports that tens of thousands of eligible third-level students in households with incomes of up to €100,000 are missing out on grants aimed at easing the cost of college education. An estimated 40,000 students from households where combined incomes are €62,000 to €100,000 are entitled to a €500 grant for college fees. Now, you may not realise that. Maybe you thought that because your combined income or your solo income was in the high tens that you weren't entitled to that €500, but perhaps you are. Latest figures show just 18,200 have availed of it so far in the 24-25 academic year. The closing date for applications is at the end of next month. The grant reduces the annual student contribution cost from €2,000 to €1,500 for eligible applicants this year. SUSI, the National Authority for Higher Education Grants, is continuing to accept applications for 24-25 until the end of May. A spokesperson for the authority said requests for late applications after this time would be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. But maybe you are in that income bracket and you could be getting a €500 grant towards college fees. Now, just because you are in that bracket doesn't necessarily mean that you have an abundance of cash either. Perhaps maybe you have high mortgage costs, maybe a new car on lease or PCP or whatever it might be. So that €500 might help you. It doesn't really talk to the majority of people listening to this show, but perhaps it might you. Ukrainians entering colleges in Ireland will no longer benefit from targeted financial aid and free tuition as the government aligns support for those for Irish students. This is in the Irish Daily Mail and did aggravate people, not because they were anti-Ukraine or anti-refugee or anything like that there. It's because they were struggling to send their children to third level, or indeed weren't able to, whilst we had new arrivals into the country getting free college places and targeted benefits. And again, the motivation there would be that someone might feel that that is unfair, but they're levelling the playing field apparently. The Irish Daily Mail understands the Cabinet will today sign off on plans to scrap the temporary tuition fee support scheme, which automatically entitles Ukrainians fleeing war to a €6,000 grant towards university fees. Maybe some of you are learning for the first time that this grant existed. We have referenced it on the show before. Ministers are also expected to approve changes which will exempt Ukrainians from a separate stipend worth up to €1,150 per month. Any Ukrainian students already enrolled in ongoing studies will be unaffected by the changes. New students will no longer receive the same financial aid. So if you're a Ukrainian in third level already, you continue to get these supports, but new arrivals won't. A source said Ukrainians entering Irish colleges from the next academic year will be eligible for the means-tested Student Universal Support Ireland SUSI grant, while Ukrainians who have been living in Ireland, the European Union, the European Economic Area or the UK for longer than 3 years can qualify for discounted tuition fees through the Free Fees Initiative. More than 1,800 Ukrainian students enrolled in further and higher education courses here in Ireland are in receipt of state support. So still some very well off, it has to be said. On to the story that many of you are following, and it is a mysterious disappearance of a farmer down the country. Sheep belonging to missing farmer Michael Gain were being sold off by his devastated wife at a Kerry Co-op mart yesterday. The paper spent the day speaking to pals and locals about the baffling mystery of his disappearance on March 20th, as the search now goes into its third week without answers. It's understood Gardaí have committed to continuing to search for the 56-year-old. I'll read this again. It's understood Gardaí have committed to continue to search the 56-year-old's land, which is nestled in a scenic area near Molly's Gap in Kenmare, for the rest of the week. However, sources said if officers do not find any significant evidence, the search of the land may be wound up in days. It comes as the paper spotted a drone flying above his farm yesterday, as Gardaí were assisted by members of the Defence Forces in searching the vast land, which is full of outhouses, a river, streams, forest and rough terrain. In the midst of the search, it's understood Gardaí recovered a bow and arrow in a cave located on the land. Those sources have urged caution and said officers are not immediately linking the find with his disappearance. It really is a mystery, very unusual, hence the Garda effort and the media coverage. Heard it in the news, but obviously this is a story we've tracked right from the beginning, so I want to reference it at this stage as well. It's in the Sun this morning. Murdered backpacker Danielle McLaughlin's evil killer has appealed his conviction. It's emerged. Now, this was expected because his defence at the trial said they would be lodging an immediate appeal, so here it is. Vicar Bagat, 31, is also fighting the life term he received for the Donegal native's rape and murder. Danielle, 28, who was studying to be a yoga teacher, was found dead in Goa in India in 2017. Bhagat, who was found guilty in February, has lodged his appeal with Bombay High Court. Danielle's devastated mum, Andrea Brannigan, told The Sun she was made aware of the development through the media in India. She said, "I knew this was going to happen. Our legal team will be doing everything in their power to keep him in prison." So, as I say, they did know it was coming. From the world of politics, somewhat out of the blue, and we probably saw this on the news yesterday evening. It's in the Irish Daily Mirror today. People Before Profit's Richard Boyd Barrett, who's been one of the most vocal in opposition in recent years, he's announced he'll have to step back from politics for several months due to a cancer diagnosis. Speaking on RTE's Today with Claire Byrne, the Dunleera TD, 58, confirmed he'd been diagnosed with throat cancer and has to undergo radiotherapy and chemotherapy. However, he vowed yesterday on being back as soon as possible, but said his doctors have insisted he cannot work during treatment as it can be pretty rough. Mr. Boyd Barrett said, "I have to enter into a fairly intense period of cancer treatment over the next. It's going to certainly take a couple of months," which is a concern, no doubt about it. Okay, that was a run through some of the stories making the papers today. 08660 25,000. Yesterday, we referenced through a caller the closure of toilets in Rathmullen. There was a sign up saying that they had been closed indefinitely due to vandalism, which I think occurred over the weekend. There was a bit of aggro in and around that area. But we got onto the council, obviously, to find out what the story is from their perspective. And the good news is they're going to be partially reopened today. It's a short statement, but why go into great detail when the news is positive? Following assessment of the damage caused to the toilets, the necessary repairs are ongoing, and it's hoped to have the facilities at least partially open today. Okay, so a lot of people in full praise of those facilities. It's great to have them, and they will be partially reopened today.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
This year, the government will launch a new national policy to reduce suicide. Your views will play a key role in shaping this new policy. As part of a public consultation, the Department of Health is inviting members of the public and relevant groups and organisations to share their opinions on suicide reduction in Ireland, particularly those with lived or living experience of suicide. Every life lost to suicide is one too many. You can help by sharing your views at gov.ie/suicide reduction. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
If the medical experts get it wrong, everything changes. From misdiagnosis or delayed diagnosis to surgical injury or even poor treatment, all have physical, emotional and financial consequences. We're here to help. So if your treatment didn't go according to plan, speak to our experienced medical negligence team at McElhenney and Associates. Find us online or call 074 917 5989. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
Hip hip hooray! Hip and knee replacement surgery is now fully reimbursed by the HSE under the Northern Ireland Planned Healthcare Scheme. Why wait? Access treatment faster at Kingsbridge Private Hospital in Belfast or Ballykelly. You'll be seen within 7 days and have your surgery within 21 days. We guarantee it. Text hello to 51777 for a call back from our dedicated cross-border team or visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com/crossborder for further information.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is?
It is 9:16, and we can say good morning now to Minister of State at the Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine, with special responsibility for fisheries, Deputy Timmy Dooley. Good morning, Minister. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Greg, and it's a pleasure to be with you this morning.
Indeed. You're encouraging Donegal groups to apply for funding through the recently launched Fisheries Local Action Group, the FLAG programme. People might be more familiar with it. It's the Coastal Communities Development Scheme. It's covering 4 years, 25 to 29. What kind of applications might be successful in this?
Well, we're not being prescriptive from a departmental perspective, the administration work from our perspective is carried out by Bord Iascaigh, and they support the work of the Fisheries Local Action Group, who themselves across the coastal communities have developed a strategy which they now want to implement. And we're providing the money in consultation with the European Union. It's a co-funded project. And it's really about allowing those communities to decide for themselves what kind of projects within broad parameters will help and assist those coastal communities in addressing many of the challenges that they face, no different to communities across the state, but coastal communities have a particular focus. We very much want to encourage, and I as Minister on behalf of the government want to encourage a future in our coastal communities, want to show those communities that there's a future in fishing, there's a future in aquaculture, and there's a future in community life along our coast. So, as I said, the various different groups have already been in discussion. This programme has been around for over 12 years, so there were previous tranches of funding. So the kind of projects that were funded in the past, and it's not just limited to these, would be those of a social benefit from a leisure perspective in a communities, community facilities, tourism projects, commercial projects, small commercial projects where people have a good business idea. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the fishing or seafood sector, but if it's a good local idea, it has the potential to create jobs, it has the potential to create economic activity within the coastal community, well then the committee or the local action group will give due consideration and due regard to it. I met recently with Stephen McCahill up in Donegal. He's from, he was down in Dublin, but he's from Donegal. He's very heavily involved in the Ardra community. He has a lot of knowledge and experience of the fishing and the marine sector, and he's spearheading that group with the committee there. And I know a couple of projects that got funded previously in Donegal, both on the big and on the small side. One of the bigger ones was the Wild Atlantic Glamping, and then there was a smaller one, Donegal Seafood Salt, which the funding helped with innovation and equipment. So that'll give you a kind of a scale of the kind of projects. But I'm excited about the having met with the chairpersons of the local action groups. There are 7 around the coast. And what they're saying to me is it's a great project. There's some great ideas coming forward. And the people involved kind of feel that we don't, as a state or as a department, highlight enough the good work that they're doing, the projects that they're supporting, and that perhaps if we can get a sort of a campaign of information behind it, in which I've spoken to officials about, and we will, that will even bring on more entrepreneurs and more social innovators to participate.
How important is it that whilst this is a national scheme and you're talking about it today from a government perspective, that the decisions are influenced locally? There's that local knowledge in most cases as to the successful projects.
Yeah, so from 25 to 29, we've about 15 million. The previous scheme was 12. So I think we expect it's kind of on a pro rata basis that Donegal will get somewhere north of about 2 million over that period of time. And the work is done, as I said, by the local committee under the guidance of Stephen McCahill as chair. And they'll be responsible for identifying the projects that are suitable. And we won't be certainly telling them what to do. Obviously, there are certain guidelines and criteria that have to be adhered to, but when it comes to identifying the priorities, that'll be very much for the local action group, obviously in consultation with Bord Iascaigh, who, as I said, carry out the sort of the detailed assessments and provide that administrative backup.
Need that oversight, of course. Now, whilst this is a coastal initiative, it's coastal communities, it's within 10 kilometres of the coast.
Yeah, and I mean, look, the vast majority of coastal communities, whether they be villages or towns or larger areas are usually on the coastline, and it's there the activity is centred. Once you start moving inwards, you're into a different space. And what we're trying to do is to support that cluster of activity within the village or the town environment, and I think that makes sense. If we were to go further inland, I think we would dissipate the effort, and we would take from the sort of effort that we're trying to do, which is keep that coastal community around coastal activities. Because I mean, everybody likes to be in a coastal community on the couple of fine weeks that we have during the year. And I was conscious I was in Kilkee in my own county at the weekend, and there were people flocking from Limerick and Ennis and further afield to participate in the fine weather. But when it gets to November and December, coastal communities are a very different space. So what we want to do is to try to create, and have successfully done with the previous rounds, a vibrancy and a reason for people to live through the winter period and live, have it as their base year round.
I mean, it's a simple enough program, and I have seen it in action too, and it does work, and it can be the difference between a project getting off the ground or not. People can apply at bim.ie or at least get more information. Has the applications opened yet, or is this a pre-warning that they're due to open shortly?
Yeah, well, last week was the launch of it, so it should be going live. If it's not already gone live, it should be going live very shortly.
Okay. Get on to bim, .ie. Now, just one story locally, if you don't mind, Minister. A number of staff at a fish processing factory in Killybegs have lost 2 days' worth of wages after 750 tonnes of blue whiting turned to mush while being weighed at the pier. A local senator here, Manus Bowles, stated that approximately 50 people were affected on Sunday, missing out on their double pay. The fish was intended for human consumption, but ultimately had to be used for fish meal instead. Senator Boyle, in his comments, emphasised that while the fishing community is not against monitoring, it is crucial that it's carried out correctly to prevent incidents like this from occurring. Obviously, this is regrettable. Is it a once-off, or do we need to make sure that the oversight is important but does not be so costly? I mean, obviously, it's the wages here, but there's an awful lot of blue whiting that could have ended up in the food chain now effectively being fish food.
Yeah, thanks very much, Greg. Yeah, Senator Manus was in touch with me over the weekend, as was Deputy Pat the Cope Gallagher. And they set out very clearly the concerns of the company involved, and I believe I have also had communications from the company involved about what transpired over the weekend. Now, in my position as Minister, I'm precluded from, under legislation, from having any role in terms of the Sea Fisheries Protection Authority as to what they do and how they do their business. And obviously, I'm not going to in any way breach that legislative exclusion. But I have asked the department to provide me with an update as to what actually happened, what the parameters were, because of course, when a story like this gets highlighted and presented in isolation, it does give rise to concern.
But it is not the first time in Killybegs that the implementation of rules have been really quite costly. We have to make sure, don't we, that whilst you can't seem to be getting directly involved, I mean, at the end of the day, there has to be some oversight. The people responsible for implementing these rules and regs and how they do it can't be a law unto themselves either.
No, and I accept that. And I think anyone that I've met since I've come into this role, from the fisherman's perspective, from the processor's perspective, or anybody who's generally involved in the industry, recognises the real importance of fishery protection, because nobody wants a situation to develop where there's overfishing, which will ultimately have a negative impact on their lives and livelihoods and have an impact on the state. And I know there's history in every aspect of life, but I get a sense that the industry has moved beyond that and has moved on, and that I'm really thankful for. But I do accept, and I don't want in any way either to undermine the work of the Fishery Protection Authority, nor would I. But I think it will be helpful when the department have an opportunity to review the overall situation and provide me with some details in a general way about the risk-based approach that the Sea Fishery Protection Authority undertake, and also to look to the future and to see if there are ways in which we can meet our obligation, because we do have obligations as a state to our other fisheries partners around the world that we're implementing and protecting the law, and that has to be seen to be done. But I'd like to find a way in the future that it can be done that respects the lives and livelihoods of our own fishermen too, when they are.
It should be
within
done
their
in. It
limits.
should be done. I think these things work best when it's seen to be done in cooperation with the industry.
I agree that, and I don't want to overemphasize it. That may not always be possible either. But I think when there's a recognition that everything is above board, but it's a matter of establishing quantities, etc., that system can be implemented, and I'm not sure if the technology is involved, but that in a way that the fish don't get damaged. So I do need a full background as to the systems that are in place.
I think you might find it
just to understand better.
If I remember correctly, it's about whether the water is weighed as well. Which anyway, one final question.
There's water weigh, and then there's the delicacy of the
product,
fish stock and the process that they go through to weigh them or to count them or to whatever has an impact on the quality of the
exactly. So whatever system we employ, we should find a way that it doesn't damage the product.
I'm not an expert. I haven't seen this in play, but I do intend, as part of my commitment to travelling around to the various different locations, and I will be in Killybegs very shortly, and I do want to see this equipment in operation, this equipment working, so that I better understand. That as I try to chart my way through this, that to look to the future to see if it's possible to find ways that meets everybody's needs and expectations here, protects our Sea Fisheries Authority and the work that they do, protects the fishermen who work really hard out there, and protects the processors.
One final question, Minister, if you don't mind. You talked about overfishing. Have you any concern coming into this portfolio about the large fish factories that we have effectively floating off our coasts? Are you have any concerns about the policing of international fishing vessels, either inside or just outside our waters, in terms of what they're catching, what they're discarding, how we're policing that? Have you any concerns in that area? I know you're fresh into the portfolio.
Yeah, but I'm learning my way as I work my way through, meet the various different organisations, and for sure, different representative bodies have raised concerns with me about the potential for overfishing by vessels from well outside the European Union. But I'm also conscious that there are agreements that have been reached in the past with various different bodies, both within and outside of Europe, that we have to be, whilst we mightn't like where we're at, we've got to be cognizant of it. What I want to try to do is work with all sides here to see if we can do things a little bit differently into the future, to see if we can make the lives and livelihoods of people in these regions more bearable and more fruitful if possible. But it is a challenge. Fish stocks the world over are challenged because of more sophisticated methods of catching, and the migratory pattern of fish too is changing.
But we have to be careful, don't we?
We
have to be careful, don't we, that when we recognise that there is overfishing, that we don't penalise, small indigenous fishermen. And whilst our waters go relatively unpoliced, we don't know often what's happening out there.
No, I'm conscious of that, and I'm also conscious that, species, the quality of species, the existence of certain species changes. It migrates in and out of certain waters. There are years where the stocks improve and disimprove. So it's, I suppose, it's a moving target, to pardon the pun. And we've got to be agile and nimble, and we've got to be prepared to work with it. And the people that I've met to date, including people from Killybegs, who I even met last weekend, who were when I attended the Processors Conference, and I hope to attend more of those conferences around the country. I was taken by their commitment to the future, commitment to their communities, commitment to their industry, notwithstanding the significant challenges that they have faced and are facing. So they're a resilient bunch of people, and I want to work with them. I want the industry to survive. I also am conscious and mindful of the necessity to protect fish stocks, and as are fishermen and processors, because if we overfish for a short period of time, that's not in their interest, and they know that, and very clear on that to me. And I think we've got to work through the challenges.
Okay,
and
Minister.
there has been, and there will continue to be. But if we're all committed to the same vision, then we try and be on the journey together. There are times, I'm sure, that the industry won't be entirely happy with decisions that I'll have to take, but I'm hopeful that in the round we can work together and we can find a shared journey around a common goal, and that's to improve the lives and livelihoods
Minister,
of the people
we
in
shall
these
see.
regions.
Listen, thank you very much for your time. We'll talk again, hopefully. Take care. That is Minister of State at the Department of Agriculture, Food and Marine with responsibility for fisheries, Tim Dooley.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Invite the family over for the perfect Easter dinner with Lidl. Our award-winning Board B approved 2.5 kilo deluxe half horseshoe ham, just $19.99. Cured to perfection and produced in the heart of Tipperary. Proudly supporting Irish suppliers. Shop without compromise. Go full Lidl this Easter.
At Bluebird Care, every day is an opportunity to make a real difference, where you change lives, where you're supported, where you belong. We're recruiting care assistants and nurses across Donegal for roles that offer flexibility, competitive pay and a supportive team that's always by your side. Whether you're seeking full-time, part-time or flexible shifts, Bluebird Care is where you can change lives every day. Are you ready to join a team that cares as much as you do? Apply today at bluebirdcarecareers.ie. Bluebird Care, where you belong.
Has your couch seen better days? Does your wallpaper have more history than a museum? Well, it's time for a makeover. Highland Radio and Foy's are giving you the chance to win €10,000 to transform your home, plus €10,000 in cash. And just to make things even better, we're giving away €1,000 every day from the 7th to the 11th of April. Grab your ticket now at highlandradio.com, and your home might thank you.
Our next guest on the show is the Mayor of Derry City and Strabane District Council, Lillian Sina Barr. Good morning to you, Lillian. Thank you for joining us. How are you keeping?
I am keeping well, thank you.
Good stuff. How is your mayorship going now? I mean, obviously at the beginning it got dragged left, right and centre with, I suppose, the geopolitical politics and everything else that's ongoing around the world. Have you been allowed to sort of settle in and get to grips with the job? I'm sure you have.
I think I have allowed myself to get the grip and get on with work that I put myself forward to do. So I've had an incredible year. It's been an amazing run. I've really enjoyed every bit of it, and I am still enjoying it very much so.
Very good. Now you're using your position and your experience to call for the potential for a specialist university in Derry to be explored for young people with special needs. So why do you believe this necessary, Lillian?
I think, first of all, I need to mention the progress that has been made here in the Northwest. I recently visited the new Adnashi College, which was occupied on the 31st of March, a much needed inclusive educational setting for under 18. But we are in a critical point in, especially in how we support our young people with complex needs when they turn 18. And for many young families and those young people do not have structured support. It ends at 19. And what follows is a cliff edge that leaves those young people isolated without any opportunities. We have seen like the Caleb Cause campaign, which has shine a light on the real issues that those families and young people are facing here in Northern Ireland. The reality and the message of the campaign is our young people deserve better. And when they turn 19, there's a silence after that. So my motion was basically about ambition, it's about inclusivity, and it is about dignity, recognizing that Caleb Cause campaign has shown us the lack of service provision for 19 years. That gap, it's a systemic failure, and we need to respond as leaders. And this is why my motion is focused on further education after 18 years of age.
It's very difficult to watch on as the supports that are there up until the age of 18 or 19, depending where you are, and you see the progression of a young person and them beginning to achieve their potential, and for that almost just to end and then to see a regression in people, the positive gains, dependent on the individual, the positive gains that have been made being lost. It's difficult to watch on, and it's kind of nonsensical as well that we should not have supports for late teens and young adults.
Absolutely. I think we need to recognize that these young people have ambition just like every other person. They are facing unique challenges that we are creating barriers for them rather than removing those barriers and supporting them to move forward. I'm a mom of an autistic child, and my son teaches me more than I teach him. He learns very quickly to adapt in situations, but because we have allowed an environment where he can learn and adjust with little support and just reasonable adjustment, when we don't seem to do that, as soon as our young people get 19, we forget that they exist, and we forget that they are people with ambition that who wants to contribute into our economy. And we have seen in other places in the world that there is extended education for young people, even just in England here. But here, we are not really taking seriously the contribution these young people can make into our economy and in our community, and they desperately need to do that. Well, I have interacted with a lot of parents the last 10 months. I have met those young people. You cannot meet any young people who are intelligent and hardworking like young people with complex needs, because they want to show that they're capable of doing something, and they just need a little bit of help from us.
Yeah, your motion talked of a focus on therapeutic support, functional life skills, and independent living, practical stuff. But given those focuses, do you believe that current third level institutions could be adapted to accommodate, or do you believe this requires a specific type of third level, a type of education pathway for the young people with special needs we talk of?
I think my motion was incredibly timely, especially when we are looking towards ongoing expansion of Ulster University, for example, and the way Ulster University, the Northwest Regional College, and also in Letterkenny College, they're working very close together. This is an opportunity for us to start looking at the gaps that exist in service provision when it comes to education and further education for young people. Ulster University is currently undergoing a research on young people living with Down syndrome. There is no reason why that cannot be expanded to young people with autism, and look at how we can incorporate those services into their education system. If we are serious about inclusion, then higher education must be part of that conversation. And it's not just about building a campus, it's really about creating those opportunities for every young person. And we have the ability to do that. We have the capacity, especially right now that we want 10,000 students to occupy our university here in Miggy. There is no reason why we should not start looking at our medical school and expand that to ensure that services and educational needs of young people with complex needs is incorporated in that expansion.
Yeah, and often, although not in a sort of formal educational setting, often the supports for these people who are at that cliff edge come from the community. And they come from organisations that are scattered around the place, often run by people with children who are affected themselves, as if they didn't have enough to be at. It really is time, I think, especially, given international law and stuff that we sign up for, that either, the Northern Irish authorities or the authorities in the Republic of Ireland step up and provide these services. Do you know what I mean? Why should it be down to the amazing groups that we have? This state, I believe the governments have a responsibility to these people.
Absolutely. And the government has failed these families big time. Families and individuals and volunteers are expected to provide services that government is supposed to provide. And for me, when I think about education, accredited courses, independent living, employability, creative arts, sports, and life skills and digital skills, these are things that government is supposed to fund, not to just let volunteers or community groups come together to try and vent for themselves or try and solve a problem that exists within our structures. And it's simply systemic failure, and we really need to step up. And this is why my motion was asking a simple question. What are these? We know the problem. Where is this gap? And we actually know where the gaps are. It's now really real solutions, and we do have those solutions. These parents have already shown us a way by what they are doing in many groups. I chose a charity called Bud Club. That's my charity of the year. And when I go to see what they are doing there, it's incredible
Are
work.
they struggling for funding? Do they have to fight every single year to gather up enough money to keep their services going? Because that's often what we see, and it shouldn't be that way. And also, the irony here is I don't believe we should have to convince governments in any country to do this, because the more you help people to contribute to society, financially contribute through work, there's a tax dividend there, or to be more independent and live more independently, the less burden there is on the state. So this really is not something from a financial perspective that should need to be argued, because it makes a great deal of sense. I know I'm on the same side of this conversation with you, but it's fine given what we're talking about. So this really is a no-brainer. It just requires a will, really. And I know you're focusing on the Northwest, and quite rightly so. But there should be national policies in relation to this, where stuff is rolled out across the board. In my view,
it's certainly be national, and the reason why I'm focusing in the Northwest, I think we are at a critical moment right now here in the Northwest. We have greater opportunities, and we can start by leading. The fact that we are expanding our Ulster University, the fact that the community is working really closely together with all statutory agencies, educational setups, and our local council, which is now taking the lead in these issues of inclusion. I think the whole region, as a Northwest region, we can serve over 350,000 people here in Derry. So it's a policy that needs to be expanded to be national, absolutely. But I think we need to start somewhere. And if we can have our local university expanded to meet the needs of these young people, then that's a good start, and it can cover the whole region.
And if it needs to be called a pilot program, that's grand too. Whatever. Okay, thanks
for
your
call it whatever they want, as long as the service is there.
Mayor of Derry City and Strabane District Council, Lillian Barr, thanks so much for your time. Have a great day. Take care. Back after the break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Hello, I'm David Foley, medical herbalist. Are you suffering with stress, anxiety, insomnia? Then ask for Irish Botanica Peace and Calm, a traditional herbal remedy. Irish Botanica Peace and Calm has a naturally relaxing effect, ideal for stress, insomnia, jet lag, and pre-exam anxiety. Call us a natural way, Letterkenny Shopping Centre for more information.
The gas part about Flowgas is that we do fixed electricity rates for businesses. And what's even more gas is we do solar panels and EV charging for businesses too. So switch today at flowgas.ie/business or call 041 214 9555. Because the gas part is only part of it. Flowgas, energy for everyone. Terms and conditions apply. Visit flowgas.ie.
It's not just that Ilma and Julio's crops have been destroyed by extreme floods and drought. It's not just that this has happened again and again. It's not just that fear for their children's future grows greater every day. Climate change is pushing families in Guatemala further into poverty. And it's not just. Please support the Trócaire Box appeal this Lent, because for these families, it's not just a box, it's a lifeline. Give what you can. Call 1-800-408-408 or visit trócaire.org. Trocra, together for a just world.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Okay, let's have a look at that weather forecast now. And it's going to be a lovely, dry and sunny day. Highest temperatures of 14 to 17 degrees in light easterly or variable breezes. The same on Thursday, for the most part Friday. Saturday, a bit cloudy but dry. Sunday, we are going to see a little bit of a change in the weather, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, who's to say. Okay, right, now, we were speaking yesterday extensively, the first hour of the show and beyond, about wildfire, ghost fires. And we just don't have at the moment the climate conditions whereby these things are happening accidentally. There has to be an ignition source, and it's not a sheep, it's us. And, there was a situation up Muckish at the weekend, which very much could have led to a similar situation as we saw in Barnesmore Gap and in Knockalla. Marie Duffy's a volunteer with Muckish Development Group and joins us on the show now. Hi, Marie.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
Great to have you on the show. I mean, obviously, there's a littering issue here as well. But when I saw the picture, and it's quite shocking, and those watching can see it. I mean, we've got a barbecue literally sitting on a tinderbox. That's what it looks like to me, albeit on a rock. What did you see?
Yeah, so the Muckish Development Group have two members who would patrol the area regularly. And on Monday morning, they came across the barbecue that was left behind from the weekend. We had a beautiful weekend. The Muckish area was very busy. We have a railway line there now that people use to walk. So we have lots of people in the area, and we were very disappointed to see that someone had left behind a disposable barbecue. They obviously had lit it over the weekend while they were there. The ground conditions were very dry. The last thing we want is one person to destroy the area for everyone else. It's an area of scenic beauty. Everyone knows the Muckish area. It's absolutely beautiful. There's lots of animals, wildlife living in the area, deer, sheep, small animals, and a fire would have been catastrophic.
It beggars belief, really. There's no way you can have a barbecue up there. Firstly, if you do something like that at the beach, it's on sand, but you've access to water. No one's carting up, 10 litres of water to put out the barbecue so they can carry it back down with them again. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they've got their Instagram moment, which is fine. And I don't want to over-amplify it here, but I'll tell you one thing. If a fire had started, they wouldn't be long clearing off, and we'd have 7, 8... fire units on site trying to tackle the blaze, the helicopter probably up again, so the consequences could have been incredibly severe. It's so irresponsible.
Yeah, it was really irresponsible. On a Monday morning, we'd be very used to picking up a lot of rubbish that's left over from the weekend, which is always disappointing to see. But a barbecue takes it to another level. The area is beautiful. There's picnic benches. There's areas where you can have picnics. But barbecues, when you're surrounded by heather and gorse and such beauty, is just it just beggars belief, really.
Right. So, more generally speaking, obviously, hopefully this barbecue incident is an isolated incident, but I'm interested in the rubbish side of stuff because people have gone up here because it's beautiful. And they've gone up, I presume, to admire the views and take their pics and everything, and that's fantastic. I can't believe people, I do believe it, but I can't believe people that would obviously have an appreciation for beauty would do anything to harm that by littering. But you're saying you do have to go up there and clean rubbish up. Like, what kind of stuff? What's going on up there?
Well, we've lifted everything from that area, from plastic bottles to dirty nappies. We've even, at the very beginning, before the railway line was open for walking, we've lifted fridges, we've lifted sofas, we've lifted everything. So the area is somewhere that people dump rubbish, which is very disappointing. I suppose the big thing is, with more traffic in the area and more people coming to visit the railway line, it's perfect for wheelchairs. It's wheelchair accessible. It's perfect for bikes, for kids. It's a safe area where they can go on their bikes without having to worry about getting knocked down or anything by traffic. And with more people in the area, we do see more rubbish. But that's not everybody. There's loads of people who take their rubbish home. There's just a small minority who are ruining it for everyone else.
Leave no trace. Okay, well, listen, it's just a reminder, take your rubbish home with you, but certainly don't be barbecuing, because when we talk about, there is actually, it's criminality as well. If you start a fire, if you destroyed muckish, the nesting birds, all the other wildlife, and the danger you put the responding services into, it's a no-brainer. Do not be taking barbecues to these areas. I don't think I'm being too preachy in that. Marie, you join me in that, won't you? I don't want to be the bad guy on my own.
No, I don't think so. There's loads of places around the county you can have barbecues very safely. And I suppose the other thing is when you are out walking, the railway line, just if you're smoking or anything like that, not to be throwing any cigarette butts along the line, because a fire can start so easily and it's preventable, and that's the main thing. We can prevent this from happening, so let's all do our part.
All right, Marie, thanks very much for your time. Marie Duffy, volunteer with the Muckish Development Group, and people out and about enjoying our beautiful scenery. This is a different type of one, and again, I'll try and describe the picture if you're not watching. Yesterday, says a listener, I took the kids for a forest walk at Corravaddy Woods. I was shocked to find trees still blocking the path since Storm A1. Who's responsible for the upkeep of this walk? We climbed over it, but if I had a pushchair, I'd have had to turn back. And the tree is clearly, I'm looking at the image here, the tree is clearly obscuring. Is it obscuring? It's blocking the walk anyway. So that's in Corravaddy Woods. Maybe someone's not aware of it. It's possible, right? I'm erring on the side of extreme caution here. Maybe someone doesn't know that this walk is blocked. So who's responsible for Corravaddy Woods, and can someone get up there with a chainsaw? A caller says, my pension lost 4k in value since last week thanks to Donald Trump. Stock markets still affect plenty of us, even if we don't directly invest much in this country. Indeed, and I think everybody's fully aware of the impact the stock markets have on people with pensions and people with stocks, okay? But what I was saying is the majority of people aren't, because all the coverage is effectively about how the stock markets are tumbling, and that, of course, does affect your pension. And I hope, and I'm sure it's a long-term investment, and you don't need to access that money soon. It will come back, right? But there's lots of people that aren't sort of directly infected by the big, scary red downwards on, though eventually I suppose we all get affected. Right, let me see. Just to remind you that our big giveaway continues today. It's all very exciting, you know. We gave away €1,000 on the show yesterday to a Letterkenny listener. Aidan Murphy's in for John again today. Caroline, is that correct? Aidan Murphy is €1,000 to give away on Around the Northwest a little later on. It's not too late to buy your tickets, by the way, and there's still a load of great prizes. We've got €10,000 of a spend at Foy's, where they will work with you and help you reimagine your home, which would be lovely. €10,000 is a lot of money to spend at Foy's. We also have €10,000 in cash. You can do with that what you wish. You can spend it on your home or do whatever you want to. So it's €10,000 to spend with Foy's, €10,000 to spend how you like. And we've got 4,000 to give away Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So you can be in all 5 draws by going onto our website, highlandradio.com, and click Win a Home Makeover. Tickets are €15, 5 for €10. Obviously, only buy them if you can afford them, and have a bit of fun with that. If you want to make sure you're in that draw today and for the rest of the week, and then the big one on the April 16th, please give us a call now on 07491 25000, and we can make sure that you're in that draw. If you've bought your tickets already, whether you bought the first ticket or the last ticket, you're in every draw. I'm just letting people know who may not have entered that they can get involved too. Are the Saw Doctor tickets gone yet, Caroline? When's that happening? Are we sort of doing last shout on that? I want to give it a mention, but I don't want to mention if it's ran out. Anyway, I'll get back to that in a moment. Okay, actually, I'll just mention it anyway because it's hardly been done yet. We've got 2 tickets to give away to the Saw Doctors. They're special guests at the Summer Sessions in Letterkenny. They're playing on Saturday the 16th. Okay, so you've got about 4 minutes to get involved in this. It costs you nothing. So do you want to see the Saw Doctors live in Letterkenny? Well, we've got those 2 tickets up for grabs. The gigs are going to be a sellout. 80% tickets already sold for that. And this is their only performance in the North and West region, actually. And it's at the Summer Sessions, which is on August 16th at the Big Top. That's beside Kiltoy Roundabout. It runs over 2 weekends. And Picture This are going to be there in the Human League as well. And there's more acts to be announced. So very exciting altogether. So if you want to get your hands on 2 tickets to see the Soul Doctors, go on to our social channels and follow the simple steps there. It's just liking and sharing and tagging, I presume. I don't know. But it's not too complex for you. And it's free to enter. And we are going to announce the winner in the next 3 or 4 minutes. So you really, really have to be quick. And we'll announce the winner and contact them directly, by the way. You'll not get a message from us asking you to click a link. Those are scammers who are all over everybody's pages. But you know what, don't you now? You won't fall for that. But be very, very quick. You've got about 3 or 4 minutes. Get onto our socials and do your thing. Right, it is the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. Coming up after 10 o'clock, it is Tuesday, so that means we've got Community Garda Information. There's that and so much more besides. If you want to contact us, get in touch with us, WhatsApp or text 086 60 25,000 or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Brian messaged to say, and this is in relation to defective concrete blocks, the Housing Department have now taken over and effectively own the in-house chartered engineers who are protected against public liability claims because they're working for the department. DCB affected homeowners do not have impartial independent engineers anymore and therefore a very weak hand if it comes to an appeal against anything other than full demolition. And that's perhaps why many people are waiting to see the new guidelines, which might eliminate partial demolition or outer leaf options. Okay, keep texts coming in. Donna Marie's up with the news. We'll have the obituary notices, and then we'll be back with the second hour of the 9 till noon show.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
With Circle K Extra, save up to 3 cents per litre on fuel every time you fill up. Download the Circle K app today and start saving.
With more routes nationwide, your TFI Local Link bus service provides connection to the wider Transport for Ireland public transport network. Save up to 30% when you use your TFI Leap card on TFI Local Link services. For route and timetable information, visit transportforireland.ie. We're Transport for Ireland. We're Transport for you.
Irish Pressings, based in Gidor, are celebrating 20 years of engineering excellence as a global leader in component design, manufacturing, machining and prototyping to globally recognised brands across the automotive, marine, electrical and many other industries. Irish Pressings' impact reaches far beyond Ireland's shores. To celebrate, the 9 till noon show will be live from Irish Pressings this Friday morning. So tune in to find out what makes Irish Pressings a powerhouse on the global stage.
Donegal Town Hardware's massive fencing and paving sale takes place this weekend, with discounts on all fencing, paving and decking. 15% off smart fence, composite fencing, PVC fencing and ESC fencing. 15% off cobble paving and composite decking. And big savings on all timber fencing. Don't miss out on these unbeatable deals this Friday 11th and Saturday 12th of April at Donegal Town Hardware.
Live on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news at 10 o'clock. A number of staff at a fish processing factory in Killybegs have lost 2 days' worth of wages after 750 tonnes of blue whiting turned to mush while being weighed at the pier. Senator Manus Boyle stated that approximately 50 people were affected on Sunday, missing out on their double pay. The fish was intended for human consumption, but ultimately had to be used for fish meal instead. Senator Boyle emphasised that while the fishing community is not against monitoring, it's crucial that it's carried out correctly to prevent incidents like this from occurring.
Well, this could have been done differently if the monitor had been done in the factory. I mean, there is a procedure there for factory monitors. There is video. There might be up to 18 video cameras zooming in on the lines and everything like that. There is ways it could have been done, and it's been done in the past on the factory monitor. But going through the machine, really, it was total non-runner.
Well, Minister for the Marine Timmy Dooley told Greg Hughes on this morning's 9 till noon show that he will do what he can within his parameters to try and avoid this happening again.
and I will be in Killybegs very shortly, and I do want to see this equipment in operation, this equipment working, so that I better understand that as I try to chart my way through this, that to look to the future to see if it's possible to find ways that meets everybody's needs and expectations here, protects our Sea Fisheries Authority and the work that they do, protects the fishermen who work really hard out there, and protects the process.
The man convicted of raping and murdering a woman from Buncrana in India has lodged an appeal against his life sentence. Danielle McLaughlin was killed in Goa, India in 2017. After many delays, Vigat Bhagat was handed down a sentence of life imprisonment in early February. However, the Irish Daily Star reports that Bhagat has now made an appeal to the Bombay High Court. Tourists visiting Gola Island have cancelled their stays after the island has been again left without water. Councillor Micheál Colin McGill Asbog says islanders have now been without for around a week. Councillor McGill Asbog says that with the spell of good weather, the island had been busier than usual. He says the reoccurring issue needs to be solved once and for all.
Well, there's an issue there where if people are in for a number of weeks, which we have at the moment, people on the island, they'll have to leave the island, they'll have to go to the mainland to get water supplies. But you also have the issue of water in terms of cleaning, cooking, toilets. It's not acceptable that we're left with Gola the way it is. We have Toddy under boil notice, we have Inishbofin under boil notice for very long periods of time. We have a situation where Inishbofin has no water, and just the lack of infrastructure investment from the government is just not acceptable at 2025.
Letterkenny University Hospital was the second most overcrowded in the country this morning. 40 patients were waiting for a bed for admission to hospital. 13 of those were on trolleys in the emergency department, while the remaining 27 were located in wards elsewhere. A statement was issued yesterday noting the pressure on the ED due to a high number of attendances. The North's First Minister Michelle O'Neill has written to the British Prime Minister urging the UK government to grant a public inquiry into the murder of GAA official Sean Brown. The chairman of Balafi Wooltones was abducted and murdered by loyalist paramilitaries in 1997 in Derry. Intelligence material has linked state agents to his death. Last week, Belfast's Court of Appeal ruled the government's failure to hold an inquiry is unlawful and it cannot stand. Tens of thousands of students are missing out on college grants. Around 40,000 students are believed to be eligible for a €500 grant for college fees, but figures show just 18,200 have availed of it so far this year. Higher Education Minister James Lawless feels the system needs to be reviewed.
If people aren't claiming €500, it suggests that they possibly don't need the money. That's not a value judgment, it's just a statement of fact. So I suppose I want to examine that further. What does that mean? Are we giving support to people who don't objectively need it? And if we are, could they be redeployed to the people that really do need more help?
The Taoiseach says that the European Union is ready to negotiate with the US on tariffs as he prepares to fly to Washington. Simon Harris will engage in a series of meetings, including with the Commerce Secretary. US President Donald Trump says he's still open to negotiations with countries who he slapped the tariffs on. Looking now to weather, a dry and sunny day ahead with highs of 16 or 17 degrees. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. Back again with headlines at 11 o'clock. The obituary notices this Tuesday morning, April 8th. The death has taken place of Sally Sharkey, Courtney Quigley's Point. Funeral arrangements are to be confirmed later. The death has occurred of Kathleen Cochlean Erskine Nee O'Donnell, Gilbertstown, Brooklis, reposing at the home of her daughter Karina and son-in-law Eamon, Conlon Road, Killybegs, today from 12 noon until 7 p.m. House strictly private at all other times. Private removal tomorrow from her residence at Gilbertstown, Brooklis, to the Church of St Joseph and St Connell, Brooklis, for funeral mass at 12 noon, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Donegal Community Hospital, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Anne Stewart, Nee McGlade. No wake, house is strictly private. Funeral mass will be held at Holy Cross Church, Dunfanaghy, tomorrow at 12 noon. Mass can be viewed on mcn.live. Family flowers only, donations if desired to Large Belfast, care of O'Kane's funeral directors. The death has taken place of Vera May Porter Killinure Convoy. Her remains will repose at her home today from 2 p.m. until 8 p.m. Family time please at all other times. Funeral leaving there tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 for 2 o'clock funeral service in St Ninian's Church Convoy, followed by cremation on Thursday at 1 o'clock in Lakelands Crematorium Cavan. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu to the Community Palliative Care Team, care of Terence McClintock, Funeral Director. The death has occurred of John Brown Mahery Dunlow. John's remains are reposing in McGlynn's funeral home today from 3 p.m. until 8 p.m. with rosary at 8 o'clock. Funeral mass tomorrow at 12 noon at St Patrick's Church, Meena Cross, with interment afterwards in Mahery Cemetery. Family flowers only, donations in lieu if desired to Dunlow Community Hospital, care of any family member or Sean McGlynn, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Peter Devaney, 65 Acres, Strabane, reposing at his home. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 9:30 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Melmount at 10 a.m, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers please to the Foyle Hospice, care of Quigley's Funeral Directors. Family time please from 10 o'clock tonight. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
VHI Multi-Trip Travel Insurance is your passport to peace of mind. Lost baggage in Beijing? Hotel cancellation in Cavan? Sprained ankle in Auckland? You're covered wherever you go. Buy VHI Multi-Trip online today. Terms and conditions apply. VHI Healthcare DAC trading as VHI Healthcare is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland and is tied to Collins and Insurance Europe Limited for VHI Multi-Trip Travel Insurance.
Garda Sean Sweeney is going to be joining us shortly with the very latest appeals and information from An Garda Síochána. You hear him first here on the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio, so stay tuned for that and so much more besides. Some of your comments here. How do you investigate yourself is the question for the NSAI, especially when they designed and created a standard that's based on what is not the cause of the defects in Donegal properties. Mica or freeze thaw cannot reduce the Newton strength of a concrete block or any concrete product, which makes the standard unworkable. With the standard that the NSAI automatically adopt from the EU directives, blocks EN 771-3, the Newton strength of the blocks and foundations is progressively reducing due to pyrrhotite, and when other sulfides are present with pyrrhotite, it is reclassified as total sulfides. Permitted levels of TS is 0.1%. Internal sulfate attack on the blocks and external and internal sulfate attack in the foundations is the problem, not mica or any level of mica. And I think that's generally accepted. And I know there have been, and judging by the wording of this, this is a person with knowledge of this. Yeah, we accept that. That's why we were questioning yesterday the inclusion of mica in the draft document of the review of that protocol. But I think that's the generally accepted science now at this point. Hi, Greg. We are demolishing our home within the next month and are at a crossroads with regards to the foundations. The concrete used for the foundations was from a supplier from Northern Ireland, and we're confident the foundations will pass any test in relation to any defects. However, we've been informed that home insurance will be refused if you rebuild on the current foundations or charged a rate that's unaffordable. Can you put this up to your listeners in hope that someone in this predicament can tell us exactly the situation? This is a complicated one because they're confident of the source of concrete, but they're building on top of that. And, you know, if the house is ever for sale or in fact, if it's ever to be insured, which of course it has to be, you might be asked, well, this is a new build. Did you change the foundations? What do you do in that situation? What do these people do? You can't just change the foundations because there's a huge cost if you're confident the foundations would pass any test. Do you test them before you start building? There's bound to be someone out there, given the thousands that are affected, that can give advice to this listener. They're concerned that home insurance might be refused, although pay a premium for retaining the old fans. But just to recap, the concrete for the fans came in from Northern Ireland and they're confident they'll pass any tests. So what do they do? And they have a big decision to make in the next couple of months. You know, I don't think anyone has thousands of euro to unnecessarily change foundations, but maybe I was going to say maybe these new what do you call it? The new code or whatever the word might be. Sorry, it escapes me at the moment. I was going to say maybe that would cover their foundations, but the house would be built on them, and then they're out of the scheme, so they would have no sort of state guarantee on foundations, if that makes sense. So they're in a bind. What can they do? And even if they bore them now themselves and get them tested, will that test be scientifically sound enough for the insurance company who look for any which way to avoid liability? Let us know. There's bound to be someone out there with some advice. 086 60 25,000. We got notification yesterday from the HSE, so this isn't me having a go at the hospital or listeners given out for no good reason. Last evening, Letterkenny University Hospital was at a very critical point. The emergency department was very, very busy. They'd seen over 400 people in the last couple of days. There's always this post-weekend and over-weekend situation, but as of last evening, there was 99 people waiting in the ED. And just to put to bed the suggestion that people are there for no reason at all, 34 people went to the ED and were deemed sick enough to get a bed. Not one single bed available in the hospital. 34 people, 3 dozen. That's a busload of people. You know, think about a school bus, 32, 33 seats. That bus full of people needing to get a bed in the hospital, and there was no bed. As a result, very long waiting times in ED. And there's also visiting restrictions on some wards because there's a COVID outbreak. So the HSE told us yesterday, over 3 days, 411 people at the ED. I mentioned 99 people in the ED as last evening, 34 waiting on a bed. The hospital advising patients who attend ED for routine and non-urgent treatment, they'll experience very long waiting times. Elective procedures, sadly, were cancelled, and some of them are really quite serious, but those affected were contacted directly, but those cancellations were today. So all available beds in the hospital in use. This is coming up time and time again. Every bed taken up. Is there an issue with discharging? Is there an issue with home help packages or spaces in other facilities where people need continued care but not acute care? Is there an issue in families saying, look, we can't take this person back into the home because we don't have the time or resources to care for the person and they're stuck there? Like, what's going on? There's a number of things, but we can't just ride this roller coaster perpetually, can we? Something seriously needs to be done. The hospital clearly isn't big enough because every bed's taken up quite regularly now. But a caller says, Greg, while I agree the staff at LUH are very good, I think it's important to say our experience from 2018. We were expecting our 4th child. We went to scan, was told in a very blunt and cold manner that our baby wasn't going to survive and would have a syndrome of some sort if they did survive. The term and their life would be short as in days. The way that news was delivered was nothing short of disgraceful. Today we've a beautiful, normal little girl. If we were different people, God only knows what would have happened. On different topics here, Greg, in relation to speeding, first of all, we have to accept that there will never be Gardaí in every road in Ireland at all times, but there are others who are you, me, and the public. So let's get really serious here and do something radical. How about you have a dash cam in your vehicle and someone passes you out on a solid white line at speed? You send a copy of the occurrence to the Gardaí. They issue a ticket to the registered owner. After the ticket is paid, you receive a monetary reward, say €50, with complete anonymity, of course. Oh, God, this is sounding very dodgy. Hey, listen, I like ideas. But the caller goes on to say, so the next time someone passes someone illegally, he'll be wondering, does that guy have a dash cam? In effect, the public become the Gardaí. As I said, it's radical, but are we serious about bad driving or not? Just a thought. It is just a thought, but what do you think? Paying people to shop others, €50, and you retain your anonymity. Is that open for exploitation, or is it just a radical idea? Someone looking at it and saying something needs to be done. A caller says, if only people understood that HGV drivers had to put up with from cyclists and cars, drivers on the roads, giving the cyclist the 5-metre space has made it impossible to pass. I'm on a timetable and this space often leaves me late, and on most Donegal roads there's not enough space to make this move. Yesterday in Muff I met a group of male walkers who looked like they were over 65 and should know better. When I blew at them, they gave me the fingers. Only 2% of collisions are caused by HGV drivers. Letterkenny Main Street is a nightmare with people on their phones walking out in front of drivers. I have seen that myself, actually, and I only drive a wee car. The caller says it's time people started taking responsibility and responsible steps to ensure they don't have an accident, but too many car drivers in particular think they are professional drivers. Right, okay. Last one here before we take a break. If things change with the tax taken into this country from these big companies, the only people paying is the Irish people. They'll tax us even more. Car tax, LPT, TV, DOG, PRSI, PAYE, USC. Take all the time. Our take-home pay will drop if you're working. Products will become more expensive, so we have less. The government will then spend less on services like health, roads, infrastructure. Governments have destroyed our fishing industry and are trying to destroy our farmers and the meat industry. The only thing they're interested in is data centres and multinationals. Big supermarkets, nothing left in our small towns anymore, which won't return once a town starts to die. It's impossible to stop it. Honestly, I don't think our government care about the everyday people anymore. That's the opinion of one listener. All right, Community Garda Information on the way with Garda Sean after these.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday the 8th of April. You're playing on the brown sheet for the daily prize of €800. The reference number is S12. It's game number 15. The numbers are 9, 39, 2, 14, 73, 84, 86, 62, 40, and finally 12. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Celebrate 25 years with Villarose Hotel and Spa in Ballybuffet. Join us on Friday the 18th of April for a day filled with live music, refreshments and celebrations. Enjoy 25% off accommodation, dining and spa treatments. Let's make new memories together. Visit villarose.ie for more details.
At Charlie's in Letterkenny, they've been serving great food since 1984 to sit in and take away. Everything is cooked to order, so if you're having an all-day breakfast, a burger, or some of their renowned fish and chips, you'll know it's been freshly prepared. And there's a great selection of gluten-free options. Home-cooked food in the heart of Letterkenny at Charlie's. Open Tuesdays to Saturdays, 12 to 8 on the Pierce Road. When the hunger hits, pull into Charlie's.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today. The Community Garda Information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, monitoring homes and businesses in the northwest for intruder, fire, panic and medical signals. Call Sheridan Security on 91 26025.
Okay, time for Community Garda Information for this Tuesday, the 8th of April, and we welcome down from Buncrana Garda Station, Garda Sean Sweeney. Sean, thanks so much for calling down. How are you keeping?
I'm good, Greg. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you with us, and we've quite a bit to get through. So we'll start with appeals and a burglary in Buncrana.
Yeah, this occurred at a business premises at Ballymaccarry Lower in Buncrana on Sunday, the 6th of April at approximately 8 p.m. A window at the front of the property was smashed and entry was gained to the building. It's not believed that anything had been stolen though. So CCTV shows 3 youths walk past the building and 2 of them returned to the area a short time later wearing face masks. These 2 youths in question are aged approximately 11 to 12 and are wearing all black clothing. So our appeal is anybody who observed these youths on foot to make contact with Gardaí, or if you're travelling the area and have dashcam footage between 7:30 and 8:30 p.m, please make it available to Gardaí Buncrana. You can contact them 93 20540.
Very worrying age profile there. I think it's in everyone's best interest, the young people and the parents stroke guardians, that this behaviour is addressed. Because
exactly,
I don't
Greg.
think anyone wants anyone in the home at that age, at this crack.
No, it won't go down to that route to that age, no.
Road traffic collision in Ballybuffet, the subject of our next appeal, Sean.
Yeah, this involved a bus and a car. It occurred in N15 at Mincarria, Ballybuffet on Saturday the 5th of April at 20 to 1 in the morning. So both vehicles were travelling from Ballybofey towards Donegal town at the time of the collision, and the drivers were both taken to hospital for non-serious injuries. Our appeal to anybody who witnessed the collision to make contact, or anybody who travelled along that route who dash cam footage around that time, to make it available to Garda and Letterkenny on 9167100.
Road traffic collision in Falcarra this time.
Yeah, this occurred at a local road. It's the L1013 at Ray, Falcarra, on Tuesday the 1st April at approximately 8:40 a.m. The driver reported he was travelling the road from Falcarra towards Dunfanaghy when his car collided with an oncoming red car, and damage was caused to the driver's side of his car as a result. So this road is very narrow, and the driver of the other car didn't remain at the scene. So our first appeal is that the driver make contact with Gardaí and any other road users who have dashcam footage from that time. Make it available to Gardaí Milford on 9153060.
Yeah, and someone's going to spot a newly damaged red car on the driver's side. So I think the driver best come forward, because you've got good information there. It's a reappeal in relation to a collision in Rathmullen next.
Yeah, this appeal was issued last week. It's a road traffic collision on Main Street Rathmullen, Sunday, March 30th, between 12:05 p.m. and 12:10 p.m. A man was crossing the road and he was struck by a black car, causing him to fall to the ground. The car did stop a distance away, and the male driver and passenger came to check on the injured pedestrian. So unfortunately, no details were exchanged, and there are no further details available on the car, but the CCTV is being checked. So the driver's sustained injuries were not believed to be life-threatening. So we'd appeal to the driver to get in touch, or anybody who observed the collision or have dashcam footage to make contact with Milford on 9153060.
Right, we've been talking about this yesterday and today. Effectively, the damage that was caused has impacted on people. This is an appeal about who caused the damage. So this is in Rathmullen.
Yeah, so it's an incident of criminal damage. This is the Rathmullen Pier Services building on Friday the 4th April between approximately 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. The damage was caused to the doors of the building, and rubbish was thrown around the area. So anybody who's any relevant information, please contact the Gardaí Milford on 9153060 or the Garda confidential line 1800 66611.
Yeah, lots of people will have information.
Yes.
And this kind of behaviour needs to be discouraged, and the way that's discouraged is people are found responsible for it. So there's local people are going to have info, and as you say, even if they don't want to contact Gardaí directly, and why not? But anyway, that confidential line 1800 666 111. A theft in Kilmacrennan next.
Yeah, this is a theft of a new oil boiler, the rear of the house at Cashlean, Kilmacrennan, between 7 p.m. on Tuesday the 1st April and 10 a.m. on Wednesday the 2nd April. The house in question is undergoing renovation work, and the boiler had only recently been installed. So our appeal to anybody who may have observed any type of suspicious activity or vehicles in the area between those times, please contact Milford on 9153060.
Yeah, and that's a couple in a relatively close area where ongoing work, renovations. I'm not linking them, don't get me wrong, or I'm not sure what the Gardaí are in that regard. But the point being is if you're building or renovating, there comes a point where you install expensive equipment. You know, there's at least two in a reasonably close area here over the last 3 or 4 weeks. You need to be extra careful, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Take any steps you can to, if you can get CCTV cameras installed prior, because it definitely helps.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt about that. A theft this time in Creeves, Smith.
Yeah, so this is theft of a child's bike, Litcherbug, Creevesmith and Letterkenny on Sunday the 30th of March between 3 p.m. and 10 p.m. The bike, which is black and orange, with its black and orange rating, was stolen from outside a house in that area. So our appeal to anybody who's any relevant information in relation to the theft or the current location of the bike, please contact Letterkenny on 9167100.
Okay, those were the appeals. Right, an update actually on recent anti-drug activity as well. Another positive development.
Yeah, there was an intelligence-led operation with the revenue officers who seized approximately 112 kilos of herbal cannabis with an estimated value of €2.2 million. This occurred in Ballybofey on Tuesday the 1st April. So there was a joint operation between the Garda National Drugs and Organised Crime Bureau, the Donegal Divisional Drugs Unit and the Revenue's Customs Services. So Garda arrested 2 men aged in the 30s in connection with this, who were later charged to appear in court. Investigations are still ongoing there. So we urge the public, please report any relevant information you have regarding any drug dealing in your local community.
Yeah, indeed. And an update too on an appeal that was made last week.
Yeah, this was in relation to an assault and theft incident that occurred in Main Street, Buncrana on March 27th. A man has since been arrested and charged in connection with that incident. So we'd like to thank the public, anybody who assisted in the investigation. We're always grateful. Look, we can't do this without the cooperation of the public. It's crucial for the work we do.
Yeah, indeed. And you can't always say when there are wins either for operational reasons or what have you. So it's nice to hear progress was made in that investigation as a result of the appeals made. Right, Road Safety Week at the ATU. What's going on there?
Yeah, so Garda Peter McGee from Letterkenny Road Policing Unit, he was on campus yesterday at the ATU Donegal. He delivered the Lifesaver programme as an advice in relation to road safety. So we want to thank all the students and staff who called over for a chat and attended the presentation. So the Lifesaver project is the road safety education programme. It's provided nationwide with trained Gardaí from the Roads Policing Unit. So if you're interested in having us visit your school, office, business or community group, contact your local station and we can arrange that.
Brilliant stuff. Okay, thanks so much for that, Sean. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks,
That's Garda Sean Sweeney, who came down to us from Buncrana Garda Station. We will. You can listen back to the appeals on our podcast, or indeed you can watch back on our Facebook page and Garda Síochána Facebook page a little later, and it's back live for you next Tuesday, just after the 10 o'clock news.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
We love better value at Dunnes Stores, with a selection of half-price offers across some of your favourite big brands. That's chocolate bar multi-packs like Kit Kat 9-pack range, large soft drinks like 7-Up Zero and Pepsi Max 2 litre, and cereal like Kellogg's Crunchy Nuts 720 gram. All half price. Plus, save at the till with a 5 off 25 grocery voucher. Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used to next grocery shop of €25 or more. Prices subject to deposit return scheme fees.
Every decision, moment and experience has shaped who I am today. I still live at home with the support of a wonderful team who provide home care with respect for who I am, empowering me to live my life my way.
Your life, your way. Visit dovida.ie.
B&Q's Big You Can Do It sale is now on. Save big with unmissable decor deals, like 3 for 2 mix and match on selected interior and exterior paint, and 4 for 3 on laminate and luxury vinyl click flooring. Shop in-store or at DIY.ie. You can do it when you B&Q it. Exclusions and terms and conditions apply. Ends 24th of April. See DIY.ie.
Okay, right. We are joined in the programme, and he barely got a chance to put his bum in the seat, by Liam O'Gogan, member of the Older Persons Executive in Donegal. Thanks for calling up, Liam. How are you getting on?
Yeah,
we were about to engage in a fascinating conversation about electric cars, but unfortunately it was cut short.
I should say before we start, I've been thinking about this over the last couple of days. The concept of older persons may be misconstrued within our world. The definition for older persons now is over 55s. Now I'm 69 this year, but I certainly didn't think that when I was 55 I was an older person. But so the conversation here isn't necessarily about people in their 70s and 80s, but right from 55 years old up, you know.
Yeah, and also I think maybe because some people embrace getting older. Right, and some people resist it. Okay, so some people don't like.
That's the reason I said that, because a lot of people say, "Oh, that's not for me."
But some people
don't
want to be categorised as an older person.
Yeah, no,
do they?
I know that from my involvement in men sheds. Oh, you only go there if you're an old man, like, you know.
But I suppose when we talk about specific initiatives, we often have to compartmentalise people, don't we?
Sure.
So it's for that purpose. But look at your. I don't think you view yourself as old. It's how you feel.
Well, no,
you just certainly don't look old.
I'm 69. My father died at 72, you know, and to be honest with you, but I think longevity has improved and life quality and healthy living has improved. But really, my involvement with the Older Persons Council came about when I turned 65 years of age. I decided I wanted to become proactively involved in the design and shaping of my own aging experience. And, I wanted for a service and a life quality which would be better than that was available to my parents' generation. I'm not complaining on behalf of my parents, but, I heard earlier you talking about, say, the problems in Letterkenny Hospital today, just as I was driving in. And, to a large degree, that can also affect older people as well.
Well, disproportionately.
Well, obviously, as we age, we have health issues. But this whole initiative is about it. The whole initiative is called Smart Aging, and really, we're saying as we age, two things happen. Well, firstly, once I'm in a pensionable situation, I have a freedom that I didn't have, say, in my 40s. I had childcare demands and work demands and things. So we are freed up a lot as we move into that over 55 years age group. So what can we do to age healthily?
Do you think sometimes, just because there's an emotional health as well, I sometimes feel when I speak to older people that they feel that they have little to contribute, or that their contribution is over, and they struggle with that. It's about a feeling of self-worth, which I'm not going to feel. I tell you that for a fact. But a lot of this is sort of sometimes self-inflicted, I think.
Just say, I retired as a lecturer in the third level at 55 back in 2009, and I do say that for a period of time after, I felt lost insofar as I don't have any purpose.
Right, yeah, okay.
And more, I don't have any input.
Yeah.
Where do I, like in my daily work life, I had impact in whatever was going on, and suddenly I'm saying I'm not relevant in that situation. And that's taken an adjustment for myself because, well, certainly this year, I'm certainly relevant in determining what I want to happen for my life. But there's no reason to think that you retire and then you just lie about and do nothing. And in fact, I suppose when I became involved with the Older Persons Council in Donegal, what amazed me is we've had some Zoom meetings recently in relation to this event this weekend that we're going to talk about. But on the Zoom, they've either no hair like me or grey hair like a lot of the others with a bit of strawberry purple or whatever built in. But the reality is these people are real switched on. And every one of them is saying, we don't want to be seen as somebody lying around waiting for somebody to put food in our mouth. We actively want to enjoy and be part of the future. And we embrace all these challenges and phenomenal changes that are happening. I think one thing that's happened in a post-COVID release is we all got a bit of a wake-up call in 2020 that the world as we knew it was simply put on hold. And when we've come out the other side, we say, tempus fugit, carpe diem, grab the day, because time's flying on. And maybe that's where a lot of this conversation has emerged from.
Yeah, and we'll get on to what we're talking about too. But I think too, what COVID did, and I think we shouldn't forget it either, is that gave everyone or most people sort of an insight into what it can be like. Maybe if your partner passes away, isolation, the lack of engagement with other human beings, feeling restricted. A lot of, because sometimes society is not built up for people of all abilities, right? So but how quick we forget, that's the thing, you see.
No, but also the idea just of, we were asked to physically isolate, but we ended up socially isolating. That's the unforeseen thing. Like Donegal's 160,000 people, a lot of people in rural communities, etc. And there's a lot of people, and then also, by the way, people who ended up working remotely from home. There's a social isolation there. Like when you're in a workspace every day, I walk in here to Highland today, there's a lubrication of human contact that doesn't happen when you're in that remote situation. However, I keep saying to people, this initiative really come from how many things have changed in the last 5 years, almost beyond belief. And what's going to happen in the next 5 years? Like what I see is that the world has already changed in the last 90 days, as we've seen from the impact of America's decision to change the world. So things can change very rapidly. And one of the big issues that, we're involved, say, looking at a healthy ageing strategy for the next 5 years in Donegal. And one of the things that jumps out is older person. And I repeat, older person, 55 and older. Access to getting to the health scenarios. How do you get to your appointment? How do you get to a hospital? All those sort of things. So this concept, mobility, is a real restrictive issue, and particularly in the rural communities. So this ultimately issue here is about mobility as a service. The idea of door-to-door mobility, that you could we will soon be in a world where it'll be possible to get driverless cars to go to people's houses, to collect them, to bring them wherever locations they are.
Now. It's happening across America.
And well, at the moment, like, you can watch endless YouTube videos in China of cars, driverless cars driving around. So my point is, if we never believed, let's say before 2020, Asher, it'll never change. It's already changed.
It's actually quite interesting. It has been an incredibly quick timeline. The Older Persons Executive are hosting an open day experience of electric vehicles. It's on this coming Saturday, the 12th of April, in Letterkenny, in Divers Garage in Letterkenny. It runs from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So you, the executive, approached Divers and saying, look, what need did you feel you were meeting in approaching Divers, and what do you hope to come from this?
Right. So, I mean, we've been having this conversation within our group in the Older Persons Council, and it's a whole broad issue when we talk about smart ageing. So smart ageing also takes into account the upgrading of people's houses in terms of sustainable energies, solar power, home automation, and that fits right into the developments that are happening in electric vehicles. So electric vehicles they're that much safer. It's really interesting driving this morning that if you have an electric car, and I believe you have been the proud owner or user of electric cars recently, and I saw you have an electric car within your fleet here today. And one thing, if you live in any hilly environment, the idea of having to use your handbrake to start your car is finished. Now, there's lots of people who have had difficulties in their cars over managing it. So the electric car brings forward a lot of powerful possibilities. So we then reached out and said, well, how could we maybe approach dealers and maybe have an experience as older people of what would be go in as a group of people and experience driving the cars, let's say 4 people go for a spin in a car together. They get to see what it's like in the back, in the front. They talk about the chat and whatever. So we approached Terence Diver in Divers, and both himself and Eugene, his sales manager, and the team. I mean, look, they really latched onto the bigger picture here. What I really want to reach out to them is this is not a smash and grab then and selling a particular type of car which they sell, but really growing the market of possibility. And we've also been quite supported by the Donegal Electric Vehicle Association, with Jerry Grennan. There is a Facebook group. There's about 350 people in that group who have cars, so they often get together to share experiences of their cars, and we're hoping that they might come in on the day. So the big thing here is, somebody said to me, if I go in there, will I be under pressure to buy a car? Will somebody be, come into my parlour, said the spider did a fly?
See, we're at the situation, Liam, now. You talked about what's changed over 5 years. In the last 5 years, electric cars, were like a pipe dream for many people. But now we're in a situation where locally, right across this county in various outlets, you can get a electric car for 18 grand.
That's right, yeah. I mean,
and often the ones I've seen are actually quite high, so they're quite easy for getting in and out of, right? And if you do town driving or the odd scotch to Glenveigh or wherever it might be from Letterkenny, the range in these cars is perfectly adequate.
Yeah, I mean, this
for
idea
a lot of people.
for a lot of people, range anxiety. Oh, what'll happen if I break down? I was amazed on a statistic recently. Per density of population, Donegal has more charging points than it and Kerry have the largest number per person charging points in the country, and they're constantly springing up. But the other thing is, like, how often am I going to drive to Dublin in my car? Most of my drives are down to the supermarket, or down to my local man's shed, or over to the church, or down to the surgery or the pharmacy or whatever. So that's most people's drives. So I think electric cars. The other thing that last night we have a sing song at our men's shed in Guidor every Monday. And one of the guys, I told him about Saturday, and he said, I was just thinking of this because I have to replace my car. Now, he's not in a position to pay a lot of money for a big new car, and he was shocked to think that you could buy an electric car new for 18,000. But he was just wondering, God, I wonder what that would be like. And he said, not a lot of second-hand ones coming on the market. But actually now, we're really 5 or 6 years into the electric market now.
I'm starting to see more
they
of them,
are
like,
starting to come on board.
There's Nissan Leafs there available.
Well, I know they've been around for the early adopters.
I know, but
cars are now coming, second-hand cars are coming on the market.
Sure, I agree.
But what this man gave me, look, that's what this is about. If you think that, why don't I go down and have a look, have a chat? And this is really about the conversation that might emerge inside. So, I mean, Divers have kindly put on a bit of a spread and a cup of tea and all that sort of stuff. But what we're hoping to do is to have the conversation, and the conversation not just about.
So, is this about the ease of driving electric vehicles if you're an older person, or to get because I mean, obviously, if you've driven a golf cart, that's what it's like driving an electric vehicle. It's 2 pedals effectively.
Well, if you're old enough to have driven bumper cars, well,
there you go.
Without hitting each other.
You have, you have regenerative braking. So oftentimes you're driving on one pedal. There's more advanced sort of anti-collision technology. They generally have better cameras around them for parking and what have you. Is it about sort of people who might be discouraged from driving to have their independence, or is it
hugely.
A green issue, or is it everything?
Well, just for example, I mean, my partner has eye issues, and it affects her confidence driving. And when we recently test drove some of these vehicles, like, there were amazing features. I mean, one of the features said automatic dimming of your headlights when you're coming across someone else. The cameras which show you what you're surrounding, your mirrors, etc. And a friend of mine recently, he told me, I bought a car in 2020, he said, and I'm not really a car guy. I've never looked back. He said to me, I drive now, he lives in Dundalk, but he drives to Wicklow every Monday to walk with his friends. And he says, I go out on the motorway, I press 2 paddles and I sit there and it brings me. But he said, the most invaluable thing to me, I've had 2 hip replacements. And what I do is I just pull the car up to the location I'm in, and I then press a button and it parks itself, and I can get out and I can get back in. So yes, I think for someone who has any type of mobility issue, it absolutely extends their capacity to do things. For people who want low maintenance, because obviously these vehicles, they just run. And somebody said, yeah, they break down. But look, I suppose my background is as an electronics engineer, and I suppose I've always loved motors. I was involved with the design of the Dart trains in Dublin back as far as 1982. Would you believe 42 years since electric trains are run in Dublin? And these are Rolls-Royce machines. And I just love motors. I always think, compared to, I know petrol heads will kill me here, but people who love internal combustion engines, so many moving parts. I mean, a motor really has a rotating armature, and really that's it. So for me, I love the technology, but I think that the ease of, interesting you say, getting in and out of them. So that EV car I saw out there today, in some of those models, when you're getting out of the car, the seat actually moves back and lets you get in and out. So I think that aspect is going to be of interest. But the other thing is that if it starts a conversation amongst people who didn't think that it was possible, I have a car 15 years and it's done me okay. But I can tell you, if you have a 15-year-old car, you know what you're running into, regular maintenance problems, etc. The reality of it is, I think electric cars, one, they're getting better all the time. And the other thing is, you're going to have, I think the service period might be something like 2-year service period. But I'm just hoping, really what we would like to do is strike a foot forward for Donegal. Donegal is different. Let's make it a healthier place to live, and that idea of smart aging is central to it.
Yeah, okay. It's an interesting one, and I'm sure there'll be great turnout. It's an open day experience of electric vehicles. It's on the 12th in Letterkenny, in Divers Garage in Letterkenny. Runs from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. There's some treats on in store, all questions answered, I am sure. How do people just turn up on the day? Or?
Yeah, no, it's the idea of bring a friend. I like to think that people say, look, let's go down and have a look at this together. I think it's very important that people will be made, like a number of us from the Older Persons Council will be there. And the other thing is, what we're also trying to do is drum up an engagement with more people. Like, if you're over 55 years of age and you want to be part and you're passionate about the quality of life in Donegal, we in the Older Persons Council will welcome you. We're reaching out. So this has multiple strands to this.
Of course.
So Saturday morning, I say 10 to 1, good time in the morning. come in, have a cup of tea and a chat. We'd love to see people.
Okay, listen, it's been lovely having you over. Liam, you drive electric yourself?
No, but I've ordered one. And again, the problem with ordering a car is once you order it, are we there yet? Are we there?
I know. But I think that's not being sexist. I think that's particularly a male condition that we have.
Oh, but when do we want the next gadget? Yeah.
Just
hopefully soon.
I just go from one obsession to the next and I obsess over it until I get it. All right, okay, hopefully soon, as you say. Brilliant stuff. Liam O'Gogan, thank you very much for your time. He is member of the Older Persons Executive in Donegal. We've got contact details here for Liam, by the way, so if there's anything you want to run past him about the work of the Older Persons Executive, or indeed the event taking place on Saturday, give us a buzz and we can hopefully connect you together.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
They say time equals money, so spend your money where you spend your time. No matter what your preference is, Cooney's Home Interiors has something to suit every taste and budget. With our extensive range of home furnishing to fit every room and style, from mattresses and beds to rugs, mirrors and suites of furniture. Visit us in store today and see for yourself what Cooney's have to offer, and let us help you make your dream home a reality. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny Retail Park. Huge range, great prices.
Keeling's blueberries are available now. Let the fun begin. Pick up a punnet of Keeling's blueberries in store today. Tasty, juicy, feel-good fruit. Love that Keeling's feeling.
Attention Donegal, Derry and Tyrone. PD Bathrooms and Tiles are proud to unveil our newest and most stunning showroom in Lisfannon Business Park, Buncrana. Located right opposite the Northwest Golf Course, we offer unbeatable quality and incredible value. For 30 years, we've been the experts in total refits, stocking and serving as the sole agent for many top brands. Visit us today and transform your space with the finest bathroom and tile solutions. Telephone 93 95 884. PD Bathrooms and Tiles, where excellence meets value. Lisfannon Business Park, Buncrana, F93H10F.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Dry and sunny today. Temperatures 14 to 17 degrees. Winds light coming from the east. Just be careful you are near the sea. Of course, you should never really use inflatable items, that you can buy in middle aisles or wherever you might get them in the sea. But it's an offshore breeze that's out there at the moment, and incredibly quickly, albeit light. You could be 5 kilometres out to sea in no time whatsoever. So the water's fine, but it's absolutely bloody freezing because it takes ages to heat up. The hottest temperatures are well later in the year. But if you are going to the beach, please be careful with your... just don't use those inflatables because, as I say, it's an offshore breeze and just in moments you can be out of sight. Right, talking of inclusion, May, good morning to you. Thanks for joining me.
Right. I'm just happened to be listening to your programme this morning, and then I had a letter here yesterday that I need my PPS card renewed, or public service travel card, or whatever you call it. And so I rang this department in Sligo just to find out where do I go, what's the local office that I can go to get my new card. And it's the same whether I ring ASB, whether I ring water services, whether I go to any place, insurance, it's the same thing. You're sitting 5 minutes listening to the whole performance in Irish first, then you listen to it in English, then you're told then if you want to reach such in a department A, B or C, press 1, press 2, press 3, and you press that number, and then you're put through to another department. And at the end of this conversation this morning, I am told that I am given a big long computerized number and told to go and I'll find out the information from there. Now, I am not au fait with computerization, and I come from a time or an age where if I wanted to find out about my card or anything, and whether it was car or insurance or whatever it was, you rang and you got speaking to somebody in an office, and they were able to deal with it, or put you on to somebody else that could deal with it. But that age is gone now.
Do you think sometimes...
And we're sitting in limbo.
Yeah, do you think sometimes they're designed almost to purposely frustrate you so that you don't ring and instead try and...
Total frustration. Total frustration. You'd hang up and you wouldn't bother about it. Only then it goes into the family. You get some of the children then for to go and do it all computerized for you.
Yeah, but you want to be able to do it.
And that seems to be the only road they want to go.
Yeah, you want to be able to do it for yourself, though. I mean, you're an independent person. May, I know you're coming from this because you said it yourself from an older person's perspective, but I don't think the frustration is exclusive to older people. You know, there's people maybe of difficulty in reading numbers or visually impaired or whatever. You know, there's a lot of people this new way of doing things doesn't include, and they often don't get heard.
Well, all I can say here now, thanks to Highland Radio, because you ring Highland Radio and there's a voice there at the other side that deals with whatever you're asking about or the problem that it says. You're not going to be changed from A to B to C and somebody that, I'll put you through to such a department, and then you're none the wiser anyway. The end of it.
All right, okay. Very frustrating, mate. But very well
totally
explained.
Frustration.
Yeah, thanks so much.
I think
that
they don't cater for people that are not off with computers.
No, I think in our rush to move forward, sometimes we're not considering those that we leave behind.
Well, I don't know. Is there less jobs out there, or is there more jobs? Because as I said, God be with the days when you could lift the phone and ring to the person or the department that you wanted, and you would get an answer to your problem.
I went into the bank. I went into the bank recently, and I the only human interaction I had was a human telling me how to use a computer to do my transaction. You know. All right, May, listen, I must move on. Thank you so very much indeed for that. Right, so of course yesterday we heard from a frustrated member of the public. The Rathmullen Public Services, the toilets, etc. were closed. There was a sign up pointing that out. We heard there recently in the Community Garda Information slot that this was as a result of what seemed to be a bit of a antisocial blow-up, effectively. But now I think we have some positive news to be delivered to us by Councillor Pádraig McGarvey. Good morning, Pádraig.
Good morning, Greg, and good morning to you listeners.
Right, it's unfortunate. No one's to blame other than those responsible for us finding us in this situation, but work has been speedy to get these services back open. So what happened? What needed to happen to rectify it, and where are we at?
Well, on Friday evening, I suppose there was a large amount of people, beachgoers and people using the local link to Rathmullen. I think there was an organised birthday party there of young teenagers. I suppose, but there's nobody to blame there. There was a large Garda presence as well about the town, which is unusual for Rathmullen. The damage was caused to the toilets. The caretaker on Friday night just closed the door, and on Saturday morning he contacted me. I suppose we investigated and we seen the damage that was caused. There was hinges needed. The doors was off the frames. The enclosures was gone altogether, so there was a danger there as well. So we just made the decision, because we couldn't get nobody on the council to come out because it was the weekend, and we made the decision to close them. We closed them, and thankfully on Monday, Kevin McCluskey from the Donegal County Council and myself organised a contractor to have them fixed, and we had them fully operational by yesterday evening.
What can we do to stamp out this type of activity, Pádraig? Because, you know, we haven't really even hit... We've had a bit of good weather, right? But it's early April. What can we do to sort of try and limit these acts of antisocial behaviour? Or is there anything we can do if people are intent on causing this type of damage?
That's a hard one, Greg, but I suppose parents have a responsibility. Like, these young children weren't, I'm not saying it was them now, but today these young children was on buses to Rathmullen here on Friday evening. The locals aren't, we and even myself, I was down there on Friday evening. We don't see this going on very often, and there was drinking involved and that kind of stuff. But I think there's a responsibility on parents, you know, to figure out where they are and see what they're doing. But it's not easy. I'm a father myself, so and I know what's ahead of me. So it's something that's hard to deal with.
Okay, well, listen, the Garda are looking for anyone with any information as to what happened. That's one part of this. The other part is the quick actions of yourself and council representatives and getting a contractor on site to get these services open for what is a beautiful day, and tomorrow is going to be a beautiful day as well. So rest assured, Rathmullen's open for business.
I do understand there was quite an annoyance for people that didn't have them services, because it is a great facility, and I suppose there is a bit of respect needed there for people using the toilets, because even the caretaker there cleaning them in the evenings and that, he is faced with quite a challenge, and respect and credit where it's due there for them and the local group who looks after them.
How often are they cleaned? Do you know? I don't want to spring that on you, but just out of interest.
They're serviced every night, and I suppose the amount of people using them, Greg, it is hard to keep on top of them. I have been calling on the council for more supports for them, especially in the good weather, and I'm going to continue working on it, and hopefully we can have a better outcome. They are public toilets, so there's not somebody on that site all the time servicing them, so it's not easy looking after them.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Park. That's Councillor Park McGarvey there in Independent. Those toilets are open for business. Dolores on Facebook says, I only cleaned my windows Sunday, and this morning there's a lot of grit or dust on them again. Is there something in the skies? Well, this was forecast, Dolores. I perhaps should have mentioned it. It was to do with the weather and the wind coming up from the south, and it whipped up sands from Africa, and these things are forecastable now, and what you have is sand that's travelled all the way from Africa on your windows. There you go. If you tried to get it posted here, it would cost a fortune, but you got it delivered for free. So those things are forecast now. Maybe if I come across it, I'll mention it into the future. But that's what that was, and you'll see it on your cars as well. It's sub-Sahara sand, I believe, that's been picked up by the wind and transported up here and then deposited. A caller says that need to be cleaned better, those toilets, and kept a bit better. They are a disgrace. Well, you heard from Porrick the challenge in doing so. They're cleaned every day, but you get a big crowd mid-afternoon. There is public responsibility. I wish we were just more responsible ourselves.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Hegarty's Home Interiors Buncrana, the biggest direct importer of sofas, beds, mattresses and flooring in the Northwest. Best in stock deals on selected sofas and corner sofas. Best in stock deals on gas lift beds. Best in stock on mattresses. Best in stock deals on laminate flooring, semi-solid flooring and carpets. Full fitting service on carpets and wood flooring. With a free delivery service throughout the Northwest, including all of Northern Ireland. Hegarty's Home Interiors Buncrana. Always lower prices.
This Easter, come rain or sun, put a spring in their steps and seek out somewhere special as a family. From Easter trails for young explorers to a treasure trove of stories at historic places and room to roam in the fresh spring air. You'll find more than one great day out, on your doorstep or further away, with the National Trust this Easter. Search National Trust NI and start planning your family's adventure.
Thás ag give blood punca gur féidirlinn bheithe brathaibh. Pobal don't tóirí fola dorgaid, le bheithir fáil do riine eile agus iad a grú chás. Is féidir le don't tóirí rialta chuine I dhéanamh ag give blood punca Nú tríd gléach a chur a héan a hocht a náid, a seach a trí a héan a trí a seacht. Tá sé fíorthach don't tóirí nó aimsú. Túr cuairt RCF Gréasáin, chuin in cháilehocht agus sunraí clinicí a cheacáil. Tommy de Brahart.
The Cope's huge stock clearance sale starts tomorrow. Over €1 million in stock reduced to clear. This weekend only, with massive savings across all departments. Shop in-store or online at thecope.ie. Don't miss out. When it's gone, it's gone.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And we edge into the final hour of this Tuesday show. Let's get a news update, and it's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. An investigation is underway following a burglary in Buncrana on last Sunday evening. Entry was gained to a business premises at Ballymacary Lower, Buncrana at approximately 8 p.m. after a window was broken. It's understood nothing was stolen. Gardaí are pursuing a line of inquiry relating to two youths believed to be around aged 11 to 12 years old. They're appealing for those with information to come forward. Two drivers were taken to hospital following a collision between a car and a bus in the early hours of Saturday morning in Ballybuffet. At approximately 40 minutes past midnight, both vehicles were travelling on the N15 at Minacara in the direction of Donegal town. No life-threatening injuries were reported. Gardaí are asking those who witnessed the incident or have dashcam footage to come forward. A number of staff at the fish processing factory in Kellybegs have lost 2 days' worth of wages after 750 tonnes of blue whiting turned to mush while being weighed at the pier. Senator Manus Boyle stated that approximately 50 people were affected on Sunday, missing out on their double pay. The fish was intended for human consumption but ultimately had to be used for fish meal instead. Minister for the Marine Timmy Dooley told Greg Hughes on this morning's Night Noon Show that he'll do what he can within his parameters to try and avoid this happening again. Tourists of Gola Island have cancelled their accommodation after the island has once again been left without a water supply. Councillor Michael Collin McGill Asbach reports that island residents have been without water for a week now. He noted that the island has been busier than usual due to the recent spell of good weather, and he stressed that the recurring water supply issue needs to be resolved permanently. And finally, the man convicted of raping and murdering a woman from Buncrana in India has lodged an appeal against his life sentence. Daniel McLaughlin was killed in Goa in 2017. After many delays, Vigit Baggett was handed down a life sentence in prison in early February. However, the Irish Daily Star reports that Baggett has now made an appeal to the Bombay High Court. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. Back with more headlines at 12 noon.
Donna Murray, thanks very much. Back after a really short break.
Jenny loves spring. Sun on her face and a crisp, cold, specially selected kombucha from Aldi in her hand. It's picnic time. Uh-oh, wasps. Usually she'd freak out, but all the specially selected olives, relish and Gortnamona Irish goat's cheese have her feeling so at one with nature. She's thinking maybe wasps are just misunderstood. Now nothing can stop her enjoying picnic season. Not even that. Good food, good mood from Aldi.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme, and in studio with me is Anna Scully, Community Development Policy and Communications Worker with the Donegal Travellers Project. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. And Michelle Mungan, Community Health Worker with the Donegal Travellers Project as well. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Good stuff. You drew the short straws.
We did.
Okay, it's great to have you in. Right. Okay, so the Donegal Travellers Project is doing a call out for photographs and historical items from people across Donegal to be exhibited as part of their 2025 Traveller Pride Week celebrations in May. And I've seen similar projects like this and involving the traveller community specifically, and they really are wonderful things once they're all completed and put together. Anna, I'll start with you. So what kind of stuff are we talking about? I mean, you don't want to be too prescriptive because you want people to use their imaginations and what have you.
No, so I suppose we want people, anyone I suppose who has photographs at home, really spanning the last 100 years. So anyone who maybe is into photography or who knows someone that is, or even anyone who has dusty photo albums in the attic or boxes of things, historical items, from over the years that they maybe just have never gone through, but they think that might be of interest to us. We really want to get our hands on them and I suppose have a look and see if there's anything that we could use for our exhibition.
And Michelle, time's of the essence too. You want people to get involved in this ASAP because May's not far away now, and that's the month that hosts the Traveller Pride Week.
That's correct, yeah. So we're hoping that people can, kind of get things sorted kind of quick and let us know what they have, or if they have anything, precious photos that they may not want us to keep, we're more than happy to come and collect, photocopy and give back the originals so that there's no damage done to any history,
Yeah, because I can understand where you're coming from, because these could be incredibly valued items. So they have to trust us
with them, and that's why we're hoping that. But it's not just photographs. If they have, any items such as Kramer cans, Tinsmith, wagon wheels, stuff like that from generations back that they're happy for us to display on the day, we're more than happy to, and maybe hopefully we can spark a conversation between ourselves the older generation and maybe the younger generation, if anyone comes in, I'm hoping to speak about our culture and our history and bring pride to us ourselves.
Yeah, because there's two things going on here. Not for generations, more than two, but there's nostalgia, right? But then there's also the opportunity for younger people to learn about their grandfather, their grandmother. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it can get lost very quick if we don't archive this stuff.
It does get lost, and that's the thing, and that's why we're hoping to target, you know, the younger generation as well as the older generation with this historic project across the generations, for them to come in and talk about how they're, you know, there's lots of changes, I think, through the years, and I think if you can get a younger person to ask the questions, but if you can get an older person to reach out to the younger person and say, you know, what does traveller mean to you? Where's your pride? What's your culture? What, you know, can you explain to us what it means to you to stand out as who you are now in this generation, in this century?
Anna, is there any changes sort of, I mean, a new generation comes around all the time now. Is there anything particularly within the traveller community that would point to, you know, maybe taking less interest in your history or being less proud of your culture, I wonder?
I suppose that's the main aim of the Traveller Pride celebrations every year, and I suppose the work that we do as well in Donegal Travellers Project, you know, across the projects that we have.
I just think sometimes it was important to recognise the travelling community as part of the wider community.
Absolutely,
and I just wonder if the piece of work now in sort of maybe saying to younger people, you know, is there any reduction in pride? You know, you can be proud in who you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I suppose that's one of the key aspects of this project and why we want to do it is, I suppose, often, you know, when historical projects are being run and we're talking about Irish history and Irish culture, you know, the traveller history, traveller culture doesn't get the same time and space within that, you know, and within those projects. So I suppose that's what we want. We want to highlight the rich history and culture and heritage of Irish travellers, you know, not just nationally, but, you know, and specifically in Donegal as well, and, you know, that we don't lose that history. You know, photographs are such a great way of, I suppose, you know, documenting social history, and I suppose, you know, as Michelle said, you know, instilling that pride and that sense of history and heritage, and that's the aim of this project, is to bring about those conversations and bring about that pride and those, you know, that pride and identity.
Yeah, because, you know, I think obviously society moves on and there's cultural changes, right? But it seems to be, in my lifetime, happen far more rapidly with the travelling community, Michelle, if that makes sense, in that, you know, there were ways that travellers lived their lives in the past, more nomadic. That was a normal for me when I was young, and yet now it seems almost very, very rare. So that I think things have the cultural shifts is far more quicker in the travelling community than the broader community.
I think that a lot of that comes down to, I suppose, policy and legislation.
Well, of course, and it's not by choice all the time.
Yeah, and I suppose that you know.
I remember you know, members of the travelling community being chased from pillar to post.
Yeah.
Next thing, boulders would appear. Farmers driving past with slurry tanks. You know, I remember seeing all of that kind of stuff. So, you know, I'm conscious of how quickly things.
And this is why we're hoping that with this project that we're going to do now, and it's called the Empowering the Future, the Next Generation for Irish Travellers. This is why we're hoping with this project that we're doing historically that it will bring back that, you know, the sense of things from years ago and how it was and how our grandparents had things, and take that pride in ourselves. Yes, things have changed, and down to policy and down to regulations and things like that. And, you know,
some of it for the better.
For some for better, some for worse.
Yeah.
But I think we need to keep the pride, and we need to highlight it as much as we possibly can. And however that may be in Traveller Pride Week, if doing this project, I think is the best way forward.
Where's it going to be displayed, Michelle?
Donegal Travellers Project in on Port Road.
Brilliant stuff, and it'll be open to everyone to go in and
open to everyone to come in. Yeah, absolutely perfect. If we can get some of the wider community to come in as well, that would be great. Yeah.
Well, traveller history is everyone's history.
Exactly.
I mean, it is, isn't it? So it should have an interest for everyone. Any gems in yet so far, Anna? This is a difficult one because everything is incredibly important to the person that submitted it, right? So I'm not being in any way dismissive of some of the great stuff you've probably already got in, but anything spring to mind or
nothing yet. So we're in the early days of gathering items so far.
Well, you've left it a month or so, right? Which is
Yeah.
great because we need pressure in this country, don't we? We don't do anything with a 6-month lead. We need the pressure.
Yeah,
of time.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I suppose with social media as well, there are a lot of Facebook pages and Instagram pages as well, of historical photos, and you often see posts of people have old photos, they put them up and they maybe want to know, like, does anyone know the people in these photographs?
Yeah, of course.
So stuff like that, maybe tag Donegal Travellers Project underneath any photographs like that or pages like that. We've our work cut out for us over the next couple of weeks,
sure,
but
I think,
we're really excited about it.
I think sometimes it's better to do it in a shorter period of time and be really busy with it. And Michelle, just to reiterate, 'cause it is important, these are obviously going to be valuable items to people that they're going to be treated with utmost respect.
Absolutely.
If it's a case of scanning photos or if someone's good enough to donate something, not donate, to lend something to put on show. Because it's a way of being pride in your heritage.
Absolutely. Whatever is given to us will be respected, will be well taken care of. Anyone who isn't sure about leaving something with us, they can bring on the day of the exhibition and they can talk about it on the day of the exhibition. If they're feeling concerned that it might be hurt, damaged or lost, or absolutely they can bring it that morning, and we're happy to still showcase it and they can still talk about it if they want.
Yeah, or poetry or anything.
Anything, poetry,
had a
perfect.
grandfather that was a songwriter or whatever it might be, because often it's the words that capture things more succintly than the visuals of the item. So it's everything, isn't it? It's spoken, written, maybe tape recordings. I don't know. Who's to say? You could end up with an audio booth. I don't know.
Yeah, we're leaving it wide open.
Might as well jam that in there as
well. Why not? Yeah, absolutely.
Part of the celebrations that we are running, we're creating 3 different podcasts. So the themes are the horse, the family, and the road. And again, it's that, we talk about, Irish culture and storytelling. Within the traveller community, storytelling is such a huge aspect of culture. And it's that passing those stories. And as you say,
there's
the
a
audio
point
as
with
well.
things like that when, a story isn't told. And then it can go.
It just fades.
It just goes, isn't it? And it can be the amount of stuff we've lost through to history. So important. And as well as that, what I like about these initiatives as well, because you're talking about this week, but it also actually captures certain history that could be lost as well. Who is to say in 15 years' time or 20 years' time that this week isn't the one that's referenced as the link to something in the past. So I think it's important and it's significant. And I'm sure we'll be talking more about 2025 Traveller Pride Week, which takes place in May. So as you know, we're at the start of April, and there's a lot of work to get this exhibition together. So it's anything, I think, really, rather than being prescriptive, it's anything really that someone thinks that might be interested. Exactly. So I have 2 email addresses here. There's no point me reading them out because people aren't sitting there with pens. Or go on to your socials or the website, or give us a buzz, or
on Facebook, and we've got a Facebook post up there, and we'll be posting about it very regularly over the next couple of weeks. So you can get myself and Michelle's email addresses on there, or the phone number for the office.
Yes. And we'll also share that on our socials as well. So people anything you want to add, Michelle?
No, thank you. I'm looking forward to this.
You weren't looking forward to coming and speaking to me, though.
No, I was nervous because it was my first time on the radio. But
we got through it.
Well, yes, thankfully we did get through it. We survived, thankfully. But I am looking forward to see what comes out of this project.
I think so. It's going to be, actually, you two have a really quite exciting journey because you just don't know what contact you're going to get. And,
and what's coming, so I'm looking forward to that now, I'm not going to lie.
All right, Michelle Mungan, lovely having you in. Thank you so very much indeed. Michelle's community health worker with the Donegal Travellers Project, and Anna Scully, who has been in with us before, of course. She's a community development policy and communications worker with the Donegal Travellers Project. Check out the Donegal Travellers Project social medias. You'll get contacts for both Michelle and Anna there, and more blurb on what they're looking for over the next number of weeks. And of course, we'll link all that stuff too on our social media if you want to get the information that way. Okay, we'll be back with more on the show shortly.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Make great photos into beautiful gifts at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Different gift ideas include canvas prints, freestanding or ready-to-hang art blocks, and personalised photo books, perfect to mark any occasion. There's also jigsaws, calendars, mugs, and much more. For details, visit mcgees.ie. Turn your favourite moments into something truly special with McGee's Chemist Letterkenny.
When it's time for confirmation or first communion, it's time for a trip to Watson Menswear in Letterkenny. Choose from a great selection of top label, casual and formal wear. Suits with matching shirts and ties. Blazers, jackets and shirts. Also denims, chinos and footwear from big names like Diesel, Cavani and Tommy Bow. Stand out on the big day at Watson Menswear. Open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny. And online at watsonmenswear.com.
At Restex Beds, we are celebrating 50 incredible years in business. And we are introducing our brand new Glenveigh mattress, comfort that's as legendary as our half-century legacy. Experience 50 years of bedding excellence at Restex Beds, Mountaintop, Letterkenny. Restex Beds, leave the rest to us.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
It is 16 minutes past 11. Thank you to everyone messaging and texting in so far this morning. We'll get to those as the morning wears on. But you might remember that we covered quite extensively in speaking to local reps, but also the developer behind a number of houses in Ballymacool. And there are people living in these houses. And you remember the conversation. I don't have the background, so I'm kind of doing it off the top of my head. But you'll remember that there was ongoing negotiations between the company that decided to sell them, and there was a local person speaking to us on behalf of that company and the council, and they were trying to come up with some sort of an agreement where the houses could be built under, purchased under one scheme or other, and maybe keep the people that are in them in situ. So there was a great deal of uncertainty. I think this was actually in the run-up to Christmas. But it's emerged now that the council is deciding not to proceed with the purchase of 9 houses in Ballymacool. The 100% Redress Party's Councillor Thomas Devine is on the programme with me now. Right, OK, so when did you learn of this decision, Thomas, and your reaction to it?
Morning, Greg. Morning, dear listeners. Greg, yesterday afternoon we received an email from Council Housing Department. They say that they were no longer actually in pursuit of buying these houses as time has lapsed and no consultation with the engineer from the property owners on behalf. So the council have now pulled out of the purchase of these houses. Now it's sad, Greg, that there's possibly going to be 8 families going to be made homeless because there is no housing to relocate these families, and I would encourage the council and this property owner to get back by the table again and try and get something sorted here.
Last update we had was just before Christmas, and we chatted to Phil Boyle of the Twin Estates. He claimed that the council, there was a lack of communication from them. He said there was a lack of urgency from the council and communication regarding the potential sale of these homes. The tenant in situ scheme, I think, was being discussed at that time. The council then rejected that. They say that's not true. We've been actively engaging in efforts to secure the homes since the Twin Estates Limited decided to sell the properties, and they've had ongoing contact at that time with the vendor, and they'd taken significant steps to progress the potential purchase of the properties. And then, of course, there was talk of defect concrete block testing, and there was some claim and counterclaim in relation to that. So, with all of that, do we know where we're at? The sale's fallen through. Is that it? The deal has been lost, Thomas?
Well, Greg, I hope it's not. I hope it can be rearranged again, negotiated or whatever was going on. I've seen both statements from the council and from the Twin Towns before Christmas or way before Christmas that two of them was blaming one another for lack of engagement, which was pretty, I think, was very childish, on both sides, to be honest, Greg. It should have been, because we're talking about families here, children that's, homes that's going to be lost, over a lack of engagement on probably on both sides between the council and Twin Towns or Full Boy. Full Boy was claiming that the council was negotiating or wasn't contacting him. The council was claiming Full Boy wasn't responding to him. There was claims for defective blocks testing and that, and the council was.
Well, that's critical to this, Thomas, because the council have a very important role in insulating the public to make sure money is spent correctly. Have you been able to ascertain, or will you ascertain, if proper defective concrete block test results were done by the vendor and furnished to the council? Because, we can't be critical of the council if they didn't receive. And in fact, actually, Phil Boyle's going to be joining me right now, so he'll have his view on that. But they have to be assured that this is going to be money well spent.
That's correct, Craig. I think that's standard for all housing. They'll be bought now, and you can't blame the council for looking for this information, because we're going to spend vast amounts of money. But the situation is that these two people, these two firms or groups, is claiming that one's not speaking to the other, one's not giving the other information, and that's what we need to get down to the bottom. But the bottom of the line, Greg, is we have 8 families possibly that's going to be given notice to be moving out of their homes and moving to where, and there's nowhere for them to move to. So it's an urgency.
No, I think they've already had their notice to vacate in March, so that unfortunately is a cloud already hanging over them. Councillor Thomas, Sean Devine, thank you for that. You might want to stay tuned and listen to Phil Boyle, who's manager of Twin Estates, who are selling these properties. I suppose really, Phil, I'm interested in your perspective here. There was claim and counterclaim in December between Twin Estates and the council about foot dragging and information and testing. Why did this deal fall through from your perspective?
Morning, Greg. All I can really tell you is that I received the email yesterday to say that they weren't proceeding anymore. They have stated that there was some further information that wasn't clarified. But all the appropriate tests were carried out. IS 465 testing on sulfites. I think that the council's standards are, there's no grey area that it has to be. I think it's an issue with the overall standards in Ireland at the moment, that there's no leeway, there's no between a particular percentage and another particular percentage that one can do something else.
And that is why we need this review of IS 465, which is ongoing. So if I can read between the lines...
Well, actually, Greg, that came out last week. The IS 465, the new standards.
Yeah, but it's only yeah, exactly. But Phil, my point... So can I ask directly of you, Phil, was something found in these results that would indicate there might be some of these materials in the blocks, and that's why the council pulled out? Is that your position? But you're saying no. What? So what you talked about the grey area? Then could you make that clear as to what you believe then happened?
I have my engineers' reports that say that the houses are low to medium risk. There's very, very limited kind of capacity for an engineer to categorize when there's only 4 types of category. One is negligible, the next one is low to medium, the next one is medium, the other one's high. So, the majority of houses come in at low to medium. I left it to my engineer to speak to the council engineers. All I have been advised by the council is that clarity on certain matters wasn't addressed, and they didn't allow me to try to further clarify those matters. They just pretty much said, due to the long kind of drawn out process that's been ongoing now for 18, 19 months, that they're not going to continue with the process further. So they've said that clarity wasn't, certain points weren't clarified by my engineer to their engineer. That's what they're claiming. My engineer is claiming that everything was given to them, and then they've pretty much stated that due to this, that they're no longer proceeding with the process.
Of course, too, there was a statement or reports too that maybe only a couple of these houses would qualify for the resident in situ scheme, which presumably that wasn't factored into the decision as far as you can determine.
I know that I know that speaking to, certain executives in the council that the rules just changed there last month, that there was tighter rules from central government on whether a person would be eligible for a tenant in situ house, and that they would have to be on a housing assistance program for more than 2 years. 7 of the 9 tenants in this case are not on housing assistance for more than 2 years. Only 2 of them qualify in that case. Whereas, I don't know if that's the reason, I'm not sure. Other changes made by central government was the fact that they're only going to be looking at families from now on and people with certain disabilities, and that people on their own or couples on their own wouldn't qualify for the tenant in situ program. Again, nobody has really said that to me. I don't know I don't know if any of the central government's new rules in relation to acquisition of second-hand homes had anything to do with this decision. They've only pretty much said to me that certain issues weren't properly clarified.
And this is obviously in relation to the testing, which showed that they were at low to medium risk.
If you ask any engineer, I believe, Greg, that there is only 4 classifications. Mm-hmm. It's negligible, and then it's low to medium.
Okay.
So, and then it goes to medium, and then I believe it goes to high. So, my engineer would say to me that the vast majority of houses will always be classified as low to medium. But within then those classifications, within if you deep dive into the actual results, which we did, there must have been something in there that, that wasn't clarified properly.
Well, listen, I mean, Phil, there are lots and lots of people in properties that require the same sort of clarification that you're seeking as well, and that's a real problem for the general movement of the property market in Donegal. We need that clarification as soon as possible. But this has been going on now for, 18 months?
November 2023, yeah.
So you have to move forward, I take it, because Twin Estates has been caught up in this. What
I've tried to do, Greg, is I've tried my very best to allow investors to come and view the properties, but some of the tenants wouldn't allow me access because they still believe that they're under this tenant in situ program and that they're going to get, approved in this program. So I'm glad to have closure on it finally, so that I can move on now, and that the tenants actually realise that the council aren't coming to the table anymore, and that if there are investors out there, that I'll be able to maybe move the houses on to investors.
Now, have eviction notices been issued now, and how, at what date must the 9 families or individuals or couples, I don't know the makeup of those in these properties.
Seven families.
Okay, when must they leave?
Well, the notices of eviction went out in March. Again, I didn't think we were getting any further, so I pretty much I issued those notices of termination in March, expecting something like this to be coming down the line. Even if everything was absolutely spot on for the council told me in meetings that they can't guarantee that we'll buy the houses anyway, because they're limited by a certain budget that they have from the central government, and this budget this year is 2 million.
Yeah.
They've also told me that some of that money is already spent on houses that they were committed to from last year. So I don't know what their final budget is. They did state in their email that there was one house that that they would be willing to look at, but again, that would require a final a final decision by them.
I don't want to be
again,
crass, but it seems that all those ships have sailed now. When must the residents of these homes be out?
20 around the 20th of September, I believe.
And the houses now will progress to the open market. Or are you looking for an investor to come in and buy all the houses as a job lot?
No. The problem with selling houses is that the vast majority of people coming to buy a house want to buy the house with vacant possession.
Yeah, understood.
And they're very right. There's young families out there and they're looking to buy a house. I've got some houses up in Ballymacool that there's only one person residing in the house. So when you talk about a person being made homeless, you can also think about the fact that, well, maybe that 3-bedroom house that one person has to move out to will actually be able to accommodate a family of 4.
Okay, I know, but I don't think people would like to hear the housing situation, like, one's out, 4 in. But anyway, that's your words, not mine. Do you believe you'll have issues selling these houses on the open market with the test results that you have, low to medium risk?
Absolutely no way. Yeah, the houses are perfectly fine. I've sold several already with similar results. There's absolutely the results are perfect, Greg. There's nothing wrong with the results.
As far as you're concerned, then, is your dealings with Donegal County Council as it relates to these properties, that's concluded?
Well, that's what they've told me, yes.
Okay, but you have already issued eviction notices, and now you're prepping these properties for sale on the open market. Okay.
On the open market.
All right, Phil, thank you for that. That's Phil Boyle, manager of the Twin Estates. We appreciate Phil speaking to us because, as you can imagine, I did suspect, although I didn't know, that there were some question marks over the testing. And then Caroline put Phil through. So to hear it directly from him, very important because it removes speculation. But that's their position. The council may have a different position. I'm sure we'll be inquiring for a statement in the not too distant future. In fact, that's already happened. But for the families that are in there, they're obviously they've been facing eviction in one form or other for quite some time now. But trying to find somewhere else to live, it's going to be very difficult for them, and they're going to be stressed, no doubt.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
It's the Right Price Tiles, wood flooring and bathware biggest ever sale. Up to 50% off everything in store. All tiles, all wood flooring, all outdoor slabs, cladding and bathware. Everything is slashed in price. This sale is not to be missed. Right Price Tiles, wood flooring and bathware. Biggest ever half-price sale now on.
New this week in Home Store and More. All Rattan Garden furniture is 33% off. But better hurry, because when all our 33% off Rattan Garden furniture is gone, it's gone. We have a great range of Rattan Garden furniture, from corner sets to dining and bistro sets. Like our Parma Rattan Corner sofa set, only $499.50. Or our Sereno 7-piece Rattan dining set, only $299.50. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Get the right tools or equipment to get any job sorted with the great weekend deal at Watson Hire in Letterkenny. Hire any tools or equipment on a Friday for 1 day and they're yours to use until Monday. 3 days hire for the price of 1 at Watson Hire every weekend. Get the job done and dusted with this great weekend hire deal at Watson Hire Lisnain in Letterkenny. Call 916-7777 or see watsonhire.ie.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today. Drama at Angrenan Theatre with the loved ones on Tuesday, April 29th.
In a remote farmhouse, Nell prepares to scatter her son's ashes with her grieving daughter-in-law, while a visitor settles in for an idyllic break in the wilds of West Clare. However, their weekend plans will be disrupted when an unexpected guest arrives looking for shelter, solace and understanding. A situation as unlikely as it is inevitable will send these 4 lives reeling, leaving them questioning the true nature of love, loss and birds.
Tickets available from the box office or at angrinon.com.
Brian McCormick Sports, supporting Donegal GAA. New range in store for the new rules on pitch. Layer up with a new Donegal Dynamo range. Gilets and jackets with matching hats. New Donegal goalkeeper jersey. Looks good enough to be worn in any position. Show your colours. Click on BMC Sports.
Atlantic Travel, Letterkenny, award-winning travel experts. Sail the Sicilian coastline, dive the Maldives, tour Riacan and Tuscan vineyards, stroll the shores of Lake Garda or the streets of Santorini. Indulge the senses, savour new flavours, embrace warm welcomes, smiling faces and balmy sunsets. Escape with atlantictravel.ie. Book today.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Okay, so it's going to be dry and sunny. Temperatures 14 to 17 degrees and light easterly or variable breeze. Mairead Boyle is enterprise teacher and TY coordinator in Loreto Secondary School in Letterkenny. Hi, Mairead.
Hi, Greg. How are you doing
Great.
today?
Thank you so much for joining us. Deborah Diaz is a transition year student and student enterprise finalist. Hi, Deborah. Hi. Good to have you with us. And Darcy Boyle is also a TY student and student prize enterprise finalist. How are you getting on?
Good, how are you?
Good to have you with us, okay. And 2 of the students that we've just mentioned have been selected to represent Donegal in the upcoming Student Enterprise Competition National Final in May. There are only 3 students representing Donegal. The other student in the junior category is in St Columba's College. Mairead, brilliant achievement, to be 2 of 3. And I think with a real great shout. We're going to be talking about their project shortly, but obviously very proud of what they've managed to achieve.
Yeah, we're absolutely thrilled to have 2 students representing Donegal in the national finals from Loreto Letterkenny. It's fantastic. I suppose the girls, their products are fantastic, and in the amount of work and dedication they've put into the products, you can see from today. They've done really, really well. So we're so proud of what they have achieved.
Yeah, Deborah, this is next level stuff, really, the stuff that you've produced here, including my hat. Let me put my hat on here because it's tailor-made for me. 1 second here now. Look at that. Hudson's written on it. Who made this? Talk to me about the hats.
So I make the hats myself at home. I get them from a manufacturer and then I put them in
Does it suit me?
Yeah.
Go on.
And then I put them in my embroidery machine and I type in the design or style I want, whatever the customer wants, and then I just take it off the machine and ship it off to the customers.
And how long have you been doing this?
I started in October and then we properly started the business in November by opening it at our Christmas trade fair at school, which I made most of my sales at then, and then we continued going on and we're still continuing selling. Yeah. And most of it is on social media, which my granda helped with a lot on his Facebook account. And yeah.
What you need to do is get red, right, and then put in white, make America great again. Print 1,000 of them and stick them on the internet. You will be sold out in no time whatsoever. Brilliant. And what's the name of your company?
Birdie by Day.
Birdie by Day?
Yeah.
And where did that name come from?
It came from my granny because she's really helped me through it, and I always wanted to name it after her. And then also for spiritual reasons, as in there's always somebody looking over you. And then my family are big into golf, and they were like, "Oh my God, Birdie," because it's a golf term.
So the planets align to make it all make sense. And it's lovely that your grandparents have had such an influence on you.
Yeah, they've really helped throughout
which is lovely as well. And I'm sure they're incredibly proud as well, because they can assist you, but you have to have the drive and be the person to get it on. So that's Deborah, isn't it? No, that's Darcy.
Yeah.
Deborah, talk to me about your enterprise.
Company specializes in different personalized gifts, including 3D printed lamps, engraved keychains, and wooden engravings.
Is that a clock that you've made here?
Oh, yeah.
Can you bring that over to me here? Because this is actually, as I say, this could go into It could go into any of those, those stores, the gift stores.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It could fit straight into any of those. So we'll get pictures of this stuff, but for people seeing it, it's absolutely lovely. Brilliant. So did you have to design that as well?
Yeah, I get an idea, and then I think, okay, how can I use all my tools and all my resources to bring it to life, to make it into a product? So all my products are designed by me.
I mean, that really is very high level. So, I mean, you can't mass produce this.
No.
This is going to take quite a lot of...
The thing is that the clock, I'm just starting developing them, and I want
this is a prototype?
That's a prototype I made.
Don't let wings fall off, or I don't want to take the blame, although it's quite sturdy.
Because
go ahead,
I'm always trying to look for ways to evolve my company, to add new stock.
Miss, help me! Thank you, I've got it. Keep talking. Deborah, you have to talk and look at me at the same time. Go ahead.
So right now I'm selling the lamps you can see, and the personalized keychains as well, some wooden engravings as well in my website. The thing about my website is that it has an ERP system, so all the stock control, customer service, the invoices, and just everything goes through there.
Look at that clever heart. Look, you can split it between Aoife and Liam, or whomever it might be. Really lovely. It's real stuff with the differences. A lot of thought has gone into it.
Everything takes a long time to design and make sure it works perfectly.
And what is this?
Oh, that's a 3D printed lamp. So when you turn it on, customers send me their pictures, and then I make them turn it into a lamp.
Will it explode if I plug it in?
No, of course not.
I'm joking. Go ahead. Yeah.
So I have different models of the lamp, and sometimes I make limited time editions.
They are beautiful. Wow. But again, you have. Did you design the? I mean, obviously you have to tell the 3D printer what to print. So you've got that on. You could print 100 of those if you wanted to.
Yeah. What I have to do is I take the pictures from the customer, and then using a program.
Oh, well, can I plug it in?
I layer the pictures.
Deborah, keep talking. Stop being distracted.
So the darker colors are thicker and the lighter colors are thinner. So when the light passes through, that's dimmable actually if you turn the wheel.
I'm just wondering, looking at that, Greg, do you recognise anywhere in that picture?
That's one.
Would you stop putting me under pressure? Sorry, I'll speak into the microphone. That is absolutely remarkable. I've never seen anything like that before. It's not being picked up on the camera, but that could be family or anything.
Yeah, it could be any picture you want. So it's something that's really unique and that's functional as well because it's a lamp.
Where is that?
Come on, Greg, you're there every evening.
It's not Downings, is it? Is it? Okay, yeah. It's just they're from different angles. Yes. You see, beautiful, excellent. Right, keep talking, Deborah.
I'm
really impressed with that. That's absolutely cool. So that can be tailored. That can be tailored for anyone.
Anyone. I also have limited time edition lamps. I make these are smaller lamps. Like for example, this one is one I made for Mother's Day.
It's but anything could be written onto that.
Anything.
So people go onto your website, right, and they can personalize it there. Is that how it works, or do they have to contact you?
So when they buy the lamp, they are able to upload the pictures, and then I receive them. And from there, I just have to put it into the software, make the 3D model, print it, and then after the lamp is done, I have to measure the print because every one of them is different, and I make the wooden frame just tailored to that specific lamp.
What is the white material there? Because it has a nice sort of waxy sort of look to it, if that makes sense, and I think that's really attractive. Is it plastic?
The material is a special biodegradable plastic made out of sugarcane. It's called PLA.
Right, because it has just a unique. It takes the imagery. It takes the print of what you're printing on it very very well. It looks very natural and almost. It
also makes a contrast with the wooden frames, so it looks good. Yeah.
All right, very good. And the materials that you're working with, right? Wood and biodegradable plastic. I was doing other stuff while you were speaking. You probably referenced that. Is that an important element of this for you? That it's sort of sustainable?
Yeah, I'm very committed to including sustainability in my products, so that's why I always try to make the products as efficient as I can, as well as reducing waste.
All right, okay, so that's Deborah's Customized Gifts. It does exactly what it says in the tin, where Deborah, you've been hearing, has created wooden engravings, keychains, litho lamps, personalised lamps, and that feature 3D printed images when lit, but you kind of would need to see it to understand what's going on there. And how excited are you? Well, how long have you been working on this, by the way? Sorry.
So I spent a couple of months trying to develop the prototype of the lamps, and then just from there, just trying to make it, the manufacturing more efficient and that. But I didn't really start selling them up until the Christmas trade fair at my school, where I sold many different personalized products, and that's how my company.
Are you
really
getting
took off.
online orders yet?
Yeah, I'm
Because
taking
it's
online
not a
orders.
question of whether people want them; it's actually just people knowing they're available.
Anyone can buy from my website, deborah.ie.
Say that one more time.
Deborah.ie.
Deborah.ie. All right, simple as that. Okay, very exciting. But I mean, you've kind of both of you've kind of already won. I mean, I know you're going on to sort of represent yourselves and your your school and your families, but I mean, you've already won here. You've achieved something that's absolutely fantastic. So, is it all hats for you at the moment, Darcy?
Well, we wanted to start off with hoodies, but it was just so expensive with not, like, we didn't know if there was
Because of the raw material, isn't it?
Yeah, and you didn't know the demand, so we thought we'd start with hats, and they really did, like, everyone was like, because everyone wears a hat, especially here in Donegal.
Yeah,
with
can
the
I see
weather.
that one? Because it's slightly more intricate engraving on this one.
Because we used to just say birdie on it, but
Yeah.
then we decided for the national final we'd switch it up and add a design. And then that one's our school colour, so a lot of the girls.
So you can really personalise it.
Yeah.
Mine's lovely, right? But it's like it's Hudson and it's
Yeah.
in lovely. But I mean, you can really personalise these. So if someone sends you a pattern, not a pattern, but a logo or something, you can.
Yeah, you can do most logos. It just depends.
There's something also that where it doesn't feel mass produced, although you sort of can produce them at scale, right?
Yeah.
It does feel a little bit more.
Yeah,
I don't know. It
'cause-
feels a bit more personal.
So I put each one into the machine myself, and then I do like tailor it, and if there's any problems I do it all myself, so there's not like a big machine. Like the machine does a lot of it, but then I do help the machine.
And has this process sort of given you the interest in the business side of things,
So
Darcy?
I've always had an interest in the business, like coming from my granny and granda. They've ran businesses, and I always wanted to get involved in businesses. So I thought, because I'm only a second year, that I would try, and then because I heard about this enterprise competition, so I asked my teacher, Miss McGowan, if she would allow me into it, and she said I could try, and then I've done most of the work.
Well done, and you've kind of got a market there because hats can be incredibly expensive,
Yeah.
right? But you've got a market there where you can actually say something is handcrafted.
Yeah.
I think you can say that, right? But also, too, you can go in at a price point where you see there's not much product available for that.
Yeah, there's not much product, as mine's are only €10, and a lot at Christmas time we had so many gifts for like best granda and best granny. They were our biggest sellers at Christmas, and yeah, just tons of gifts.
Yeah, or you could have, Granny Bridget's the best. It
Yeah.
could be anything, so it's
really
literally
anything.
unique to someone. That's brilliant. Okay. And you look how in terms of the competition, Darcy, do you have to represent? How does that work? Do you have to go and is it like a pitch that you have to give? Or
So I won the intermediate.
have you already won this stuff? Have
We
you? Is
won
the competition already happened?
No, sorry, the competition's taking place on the 9th of May, the national finals, but these two girls have won the county
To
enterprise
represent the three.
record,
Brilliant.
yes.
Okay, thank you for that,
Yeah.
Marie. Go ahead, Darcy.
So then you now will go to in Mullingar, and you will represent Donegal. So you'll have like a stall, and then you send in a business report, and the judges will come around and they'll ask you questions about your business, and just.
You see, because that's what I was asking, Darcy. You're part of the product here.
Yeah.
And the same with you, Deborah. You know what I mean? I mean, both of you are going to have amazing displays, but it's about, and both of you, you can tell from the passion and commitment that you can articulate your businesses really, really well. That's part of it too, Deborah. In the modern day, you have to be able to flog your stuff.
Yeah, and also the support I got from the school really made a difference with the competitions, because, for example, everyone is always there willing to help, even if it's with sales or if I have a problem with anything. So that really made a difference, and I'm just glad I'm able to represent the school at the upcoming competition.
Yeah, and yourself and your family and all of us actually. You
Yeah.
represent the county, so don't mess it up. Only joking. Mairead, Deborah quite rightly, and it's lovely the respect she shows in thanking the school for the support and what have you, right? But it takes brilliant young people to be able to work with to achieve what they're achieving as well. Do you know what I mean? So they have to be amazing as well as the support they're getting from Loretta.
Yeah, I totally agree. Greg, they're very fortunate they start off doing a Christmas trade fair, and that kind of gives them the spirit of enterprise, and that's where these girls have taken off. So I think sometimes if you just give the students the opportunities, they excel themselves. We are very fortunate. I suppose I'm only talking as Deborah's teacher. Deborah is an extremely intelligent girl and has a lot of resources, but it's not that. It's the hard work and dedication. And it's like for anybody in business, they need to work and they need to believe in themselves. And these girls have gone above and beyond. It's not just an exercise in the class. These are emails day and night and trying to improve and perfection. And I think they're driven, and that's really, really what is important for anyone listening that wants to be in business. They have got to work really hard at themselves. We can help them and mentor, but it's really on the students. And I feel probably working in Loreto for over 20 years, I'm so privileged to work with students.
Because you see them coming through, don't they? And what you've probably seen, as I've seen, because I've done these types of interviews in the past, though these are some of the most impressive, is that you bump into the people when they're 23, 24, and they're still going.
Yeah.
They're still their business has been enhanced. It's either a side hustle with study or whatever, or it's their actual job. You know what I mean? These are skills and products, actually, in both cases, that they can make money out as they get older.
And I think just even that you mentioned that this morning, I got a message from a student that was working on, that got through to the national final 7 years ago, to wish these girls good luck. So it instills with them to give them this skill and to get this experience, but it's also they go on to do great things. And I think as a teacher, we're very fortunate to see that.
Well, Deborah, you have a business here already. Okay, what do you hope to do? I mean, obviously you're studying, but is there going to be now more of a business focus in your studies? Do you see yourself as a self-employed person going forward?
So I'm still not quite sure what I want to do in the future, but I know that I want to have maybe even just for side money or just to fund my career. I want to have this part of the enterprise. But also, even if I decide not to pursue business in the future, I feel like participating in this program, having all the opportunities that the NTY has given me, will really help me in my future career.
Yeah, and I suppose, Darcy, from your perspective, I mean, obviously I think you come from an industrious family anyway, right? So your path's already been laid out for you. So I don't even know of a need to ask you. You'll keep this going, and I presume you know, with the support of your family, there's loads of other stuff you'll want to do as you get older.
Yes.
Whilst enjoying your teens.
Yes, so I definitely want to keep the Birdie brand, and I always wanted to invest into swimwear, but at the moment it's such an expensive market, so I hope whenever I make it a trusted brand, I can invest into the swimwear and just make it a big global brand.
And it really is quite a distinctive brand. You have a brand, if you know what I mean, so who's to say what might be made under that in the future. Okay, Marie, anything you want to add just before we let you go?
No, I don't think there's anything else to add. I suppose really I would love people listening at home, if they wouldn't mind maybe going on, if they're on social media, on Facebook or Instagram, and give the girls a wee like or share. I suppose that's very important to show the amount of followers they have. So it's Birdie by D and Deborah's Customised Gifts. I think that would be great just to get behind them. Would be lovely.
It's about that's really about marketing, right? This is a huge marketing thing, what you're doing here, right? So that's going to be helpful, I hope. But also, the more people listening interact with the products online, it means that you're pushing them out that way. So I'm going to ask the girls to do it themselves. Darcy, where do people get more information about Birdie?
Most of it is on Instagram at Birdie by D, and then also my granda promotes it on Facebook at Paddy Bradley. I don't know the other part. And then they're on TikTok at Birdie by D as well.
Like Facebook, it's like, I don't know what that is. It's where old people go. But it's a fantastic place for you to promote your product. All right, Paddy Bradley, search him out there. And just remind us one more time, yours is really easy, isn't it? It's Deborah.ie.
Yeah. So anyone will be able to contact me through my website and also on social media, Deborah's Customized Gifts on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok.
All right. Anything else? Go on, Mairead.
I think Darcy just wanted to say something there.
Yeah, but you haven't told her what she needs to
remember to say. She wanted to
Shall I cut the mics 1 second?
She wanted to say shout out to somebody.
Okay, I'll cut the mics here just so we could do that. So, did you want to say anything finally, Darcy, before we go?
I just wanted to say thank you to my granny and granda in Downings and my granny and granda over in Ironmore and my teachers, Lisa McGowan, for all their help that they have done.
And where are you living?
I live in Letterkenny, but I go.
Wowzers. So, I mean, can you imagine living in Letterkenny with holiday homes in Downings and Ironmore?
Yeah.
Talk about landing on your feet. All right then. So thank you all very much indeed. Deborah, you're Letterkenny based as well, are you?
Yeah, I live in Letterkenny. Yeah.
That's good stuff. And where are you originally from?
I'm from Spain.
Oh, you really? And how long have you been living here?
So this would be my 3rd year here.
And enjoying it?
I am enjoying it a lot. Yeah.
Very good. It's different climate and stuff, but still.
Yeah, but the
lot of
difference
commonality.
in education, it's really big because you get to do more real world stuff. You have much more opportunities to apply to the real world.
Like creative business.
Yeah.
For starters. All right. Listen, all three of you, thank you very much indeed. That was Mairead Boyle, who is Deborah's enterprise teacher and TY coordinator in Loreto Secondary School, Letterkenny. Deborah Diaz, transition year student and student enterprise finalist. Darcy, you are in transition year or just part
No,
of it?
I'm in second
year. I
year.
was thinking, yeah. So you're not at transition years. You've just gate crashed the party.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Well done. Lots of love to all your families as well. Thank you so very much, all of you, for coming in. I really do appreciate it. Mairead, nothing to add?
Nope, that's me. I'm quiet.
Okay, thanks very much indeed. Okay, Mairead, Deborah and Darcy and Gwat, check the girls' socials as well, because part of what they do is also to promote and engage and stuff, and you can help in that regard as well. Just a couple of comments as we have to say goodbye very shortly. To the lady on about her PPS card, go up to the social welfare office on High Road and go into the room on your right. They take your photo and you have your card in roughly a week. Thank you very much indeed. The building opposite the credit union will help that lady with the PPS card. Another, I don't like that you can't hear electric cars, and often they're upon you before you know it. I think just with modern cars too, even with modern petrol cars, it's really road noise that you're hearing. I'm not sure that's quite as big a thing as it used to be, and a lot of them whistle when they're going at a certain speed. But I take your point, and that's your view, and I respect it. Quilcher were able to sort out the trees that fell in Knockeria, Sligo, Queen Maeve's Grave. Quilcher are slower to clear trees in Donegal at Merva and Corrivaddy. I hope they clear them soon because the bluebells won't see the light of day in May. Thank you for that. Greg, red line down means investor flight. Investor flight means loss of investment. Loss of investments means recession. Recession means loss of jobs. Loss of jobs means everyone gets poorer. Stock markets affect everyone, even if it's not directly visible to you. It's economics 101 under our current system. I get the point that you're trying to make, or not trying to make. You've made it very good. All righty-o, that's where we have to leave it on the 9 till noon show today. Thank you so much to all of you who listened to the show or watched the show, text in, called in. It's been wonderful having you. We are going to